Day 4 of the Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial. Our pretrial entertainment is this dude showing off some side boob for about 5 minutes. The clerk giving goober toes a murderous stare. And a glimpse at Celebrity Row, which features Lauren Katie, Lori Moen, who was one of my very early supporters, so love seeing her, and Kai Maverick, same thing. And I see you, Mazza. You can't hide behind Noonan. You too, Bitero. You've been spotted. And then you also had about a dozen cops who are really good at maintaining the thin blue line. Brian Albert said, I'll sit this one out since there's no Jerry to intimidate. Bridle is up first with his closing. Basically, he runs through the hits. Noonan overreacted to the situation. He points out the he said, she said element of this case, which is textbook reasonable doubt. He calls out Noonan's Rambo story and says if there were body cams used, this issue would have been resolved. I believe the policy in Massachusetts law enforcement is if a case implicates a cop, you cannot use body cams. At least that's what I'm gathering. He talks about the lack of police reports and the lack of science presented by the Commonwealth. By the way, the camera constantly cuts to Noonan. His wife is really hamming it up, making faces at the defense argument. Meanwhile, Noonan is sitting there like, fuck, they see through my bullshit. It was a pretty subdued closing from Bradle. I think that has a lot to do with it being a bench trial. I think it would have been more animated if he was giving his closing to a jury. Speaking of animated, our favorite cartoon character, Goober Toes, gets up for his closing. He says everything in this case says she's guilty. It's basically 20 minutes of him saying, she's a liar, Judge. She's lying about everything. He reenacts the incident, waving a gun around saying, look, Noonan, I can be Rambo too. He basically says Noonan is more trustworthy than Kelsey. Sounds like he's saying it's Noonan's word versus Kelsey's, which means reasonable doubt? He's like, who knows? Kelsey could have spontaneously became a serial killer and killed everyone in that house on her way to Justin. The judge heads back to his chambers. The aliens probably have their ears pressed against the door to hear what he's saying in there. All right, so what's the fervent verdict? This is a very easy not guilty. At the end of the day, putting all the alien drama and possible collusion aside, it comes down to there are two eyewitnesses, Kelsey and Noonan. They say different things. There's no body cam. There's no video evidence. There's no physical evidence other than the ballistic evidence, which was sort of murky. There's no real forensic evidence. In that case, justice demands a not guilty vote. We'll end this one with a sincere thank you to everyone who followed along to these recaps, all the creators who showed love to my videos, the Glare, MazzaMedia, who did so much for Kelsey and her defense fund. Melanie Little played my recaps today, which is massive for my baby channel. And most importantly, thank you to everyone for spreading the word, for all your kind comments. You know, my little space here in this community is to bring levity to some very heavy topics. And I don't want anyone to think that I take this all as a joke. All right, one more heartfelt shout out. And this one's going to go out to Kelsey's father, who owns a security cam company. And the reason for the shout out is that he has given us one of the greatest videos in modern history. And that video is going to play us out today. You might have seen it once or twice. Thank you guys. But like, but comment, but subscribe. Prayers for justice.
It does not detract from the adamancy and credibility of her testimony that she never pointed the gun at Officer Noonan, about which he was equally as adamant that she did. Perhaps the Commonwealth could have easily met its burden if the officers had been wearing body cameras. But under these circumstances, I am left with a reasonable doubt, and I am duty-bound to find that the Commonwealth has not met its burden to prove that Ms. Fitzsimmons committed an assault by means of a dangerous weapon on Officer Noonan, and my verdict is and must be not guilty. With that, I will hand the signed verdict slip. Did I lose it? I will hand the signed verdict slip to Mr. Ruane and ask that he advise Ms. Fitzsimmons of her statutory rights.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MazzaMedia. I am Mark of MazzaMedia, and we are live tonight to do some celebrating up in this house. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, oh yeah, Kelsey Fitzsimmons is not guilty. And Stone Cold Steve Austin used to celebrate with beer, but I really don't drink beer. I drink seltzer water. And what Stone Cold Steve Austin used to do during his victory celebrations in the old days of the WWF is he would crack open a cold one and say, oh, hell yeah, because we're cracking it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go right ahead here. Oh, yeah. Killed about half of it. That's good enough. We got the theatrics out of the way. A little bit of belching. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I apologize for getting that on air, but it happens. When I drink that seltzer water too quickly, it kind of happens. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are live. We are celebrating. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I got seltzer's cold ones tonight, so we're good. So we're good, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. So here we go. Everybody's in the house tonight. I'm trying to hold down my seltzer water here. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about. Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, we need a movie reference to kick this off as well. How is everybody feeling tonight? Put purple hearts in the chat right now if you're good to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put those purple hearts in the chat right now. I'm starting off this show a little foolishly, but I'm not going to take myself too seriously tonight. It's a celebration party. It's a celebration party. Ladies and gentlemen, purple hearts, street squirrels in the house. Purple hearts, ladies and gentlemen, throw them in the chat. Throw them in the chat. Here we go. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Polly E, Angelique, KK Billingsley, Priscilla, Sharon, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. I'm just flashing them up as quickly as I can. Jenna, what's going on? Granny Debbie, good to see you. Caroline Forth, good to see you. Good to see you guys here tonight. Happy to be here. Throwing up as many of these as I can. Purple Hearts, MJ, what's going on? US Lily, how are you? Good to see everybody here tonight. Good to see everybody. Sarah B. Creative, how you doing? Good to see you. Purple Hearts all over the place. We're celebrating all over the place tonight. Massachusetts and outside of it. And I'm going to do some story time all night tonight and just talk about the day yesterday. Maybe a little bit about my day today first and why I just did nothing all day. It was that kind of day. Purple Hearts up in here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is not guilty. Ace Ventura is awesome. We did it. We did it. We did it. We definitely did it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to contribute, happy to participate, and all that stuff. We are good to go. Look at all these purple hearts in the chat. My goodness gracious. People are fired up tonight. Missy Mayhem's here. How are you? Good to see everybody loading up purple hearts. We are flooding this chat right now with purple hearts. Dennis Sweeney's in the house. Lindsay Bay. I saw Sue E. Generous here, too. I can't find her now. But I saw Sue E. Generous. Mr. Monk's Understudies here. What's going on? Give a couple of shout-outs where I can here. We did it. Other Mary B. Not that Mary B. The other Mary B. Is here tonight. Lindsay's here. What's going on, Lindsay? Britt, US Lily, how are you? Suzanne, how are you? Yeah, I'm on fire. B. Crumbs is in the house. How are you? Great, great night. Just fantastic. I'm telling you, this was awesome. Fired up. We got purple hearts all over the place in the chat right now. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. You just want ramen to enjoy the victory today? That's nice. That's good. Ramen. I used to eat ramen all the time, but I don't. But ramen was good back in the day. Thank you so much, Marion. It was great to be there. Just one sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, I definitely deserve to do nothing. Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, absolutely. Unwavering for sure. It's no question about that. I did a lot of time on this. I'm going to get to that in a little bit for sure. We'll talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that. Missy Mayhem, how are you tonight? Mama, how are you? Just giving some shout outs to people here. I just love everybody. So I'm just giving everybody shout outs to start the show off. Kyle Sharkey in the house. Thank you for posting the not guilty verdict. Appreciated that. That was awesome. And we did do it again, Kelly. If you're Karen Reed and a Kelsey Fitzsimmons supporter, we're 2-0. We're undefeated. We're 2-0. 2 and donut. We are rocking and rolling right now because we know the facts are the facts. Karen Reed didn't do it. Kelsey Fitzsimmons didn't do it. It's good to hear. So we got a lot of stories to tell tonight. And Stephanie B, good to see you as well. Miss you. Hope you're doing great. Hope you've been awesome. Hope you've been fantastic. Good to see you in the chat tonight. Thank you for being here. Let's see here. Blake crocheting towards a fundraiser, Kelsey. I'm going to have you put that through the Facebook group. The Facebook group will be better able to handle that, to do any kind of things like that. So I always defer to the Facebook group on that. Thank you so much. I was happy to be there. Happy to be there. And undefeated, 2-0. Alrighty then. Yeah, we got Turtle Boy needs to be free too. This guy's been facing charges for a long time. It's crazy. Yeah, 2 and donut. Letteros by Bettero. 2-0. It's called the winning streak. Absolutely. The only thing better, Master, the only thing that could make this better would be an unaired episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Fun fact, my favorite episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark was the one where the kid's in the shopping mall and he has the water gun, the super soaker or whatever. That was so awesome when I was like 9 or 10. I watched it back a couple of years ago. It wasn't as awesome as it was. Some things just are more awesome when you're 10. When you're old, it's like, yeah, it's cheesy. But no, I'm glad to hear. Thank you so much, Kylie. Appreciate that. Java time, how are you? Still getting caught up in the comments. Still getting caught. I got to see the Microdots video. I haven't seen that yet. I got to see that. I got to check that out. UConn's on at 9:45. I'm probably going to get off the show about 10. And I'm going to watch UConn tonight because I got I'm watching them tonight. UConn women won today. They beat up North Carolina. They won, which was great news. Right, it is a better record than the Dallas Cowboys for sure. 617 tuning in. That's kind of ironic, given we're 617. Thank you so much. Appreciate that comment. People throwing turtles up in the chat as well. Turtle Boy was there. Yeah, the hug was an amazing moment. I'm going to share exactly how that happened and my reaction to it and everything like that as well. And all right, so it looks like I'm caught up. Yeah, the micro video I got to see. I saw some of the footage he kind of posted, but I got to see that. I don't know if I'm going to have time to see it tomorrow, but maybe Sunday. I got to get on that quick, obviously, and catch up. And we're going to be talking about that, ladies and gentlemen. Street Squirrel, I apologize, but it's not my fault. The organization has not got the organization was unbeatable in the 90s, unbeatable in the 90s for the most part. And but now they got to, Jerry Jones is going to get that organization under wraps here for sure. The 07 Cowboys should have been in the Super Bowl with Tony Romo and Terrell Owens. So let's talk a little bit about it. So let me talk about today first. So today I woke up. I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night. Okay, I got home at 8. I was in bed by 9. I woke up at 5 o'clock, and I think I slept for 3 more hours. And then I think I just vegetated from like 8 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock. I was like in bed till like 12:30, didn't get up at all, and then had breakfast at like 12:30, and then laid on the couch watching whatever until about 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, literally 3 hours ago, I finally felt like a human being again. I was so exhausted. And the reason why I was so exhausted is because my body and mind are just not used to doing 3-hour shows on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I had Thursday and Friday off. But on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, I was literally starting my day around 7:30, getting done work in the evening, getting a show ready, and then being on a show for 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And so my days were literally going from like 7 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And this is why I don't do weekday shows. It's just too exhausting. And I was just pushing every day, getting the panels ready, inviting people, getting shows set up, just really pushing the hype here and getting everybody's thoughts in, getting great panels together with great insight. These were fun panels. These were great shows. I talked to Lauren and Lori and Mark Bettero, obviously, yesterday. They loved the shows. It was a great time, and it was a great way to really build up excitement going into Thursday, and well, the trial was happening. So we got the trial recaps done. But basically what happened to me Wednesday night, okay, and thank you for your video. The recaps were fantastic all week. Played a few of them for you. Started the show off with your most recent one. Ladies and gentlemen, follow Fervin as well on YouTube and X. He has a great presence. Yeah, so so what happened is that because my mind was so amped up from Wednesday night show, the show started at 7. I kind of wanted to keep it till 9. It went to 10:30. And then I had to get ready for the next day right afterwards. So I was getting my clothing ready, I was getting things I needed in the vehicle to have with me. And so I got ready. And so about 11:30, I kind of got ready for bedtime. I was in bed. And then what happened is my mind was kind of still going from the show. And then it was night before Christmas for me. And the night before Christmas growing up, my sister would always fall asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. Me, it would take me like an hour and a half to fall asleep. So what happened to me Wednesday night was when I go to bed at 12, I feel like I'm ready to go to bed. But the problem is I'm so amped up to the moon that guess what? I can't fall asleep. So what ends up happening is I don't fall asleep till 2 a.m. in the morning. I got to get up at 5. And I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to be there. So I end up getting 3 hours sleep. I get up, get ready, make a big breakfast. I had a 4-egg breakfast. I usually do 3 eggs every morning. I did 4 eggs for breakfast just to kind of give myself a little bit extra. Pack some blueberries in my pocket in a Ziploc bag for snacking later. And then the next thing I know, I had an hour ride. It was dark when I left. It was dark when I got home. And I had a headache for the second half of the entire day. And no Tylenol would cure it. It was that kind of a day. And yeah, I'm still amped to the moon, but I was not amped to the moon last night. Literally in the last hour, my brain just totally recalibrated. My brain just back in action again. And it's like, okay, now, like an hour ago, I started getting hyped. Like all day, I was like, maybe I'll do a show at 2, too tired. Maybe I'll do a show at 3, too tired. 4, too tired. 5, too tired. Then I'm like, I won't do a show at all. Then all of a sudden, at like 7 o'clock on the dot, I was watching Justice Served. All of a sudden, my brain's like, boom, let's go. I'm like, okay. Then all the energy came soaring back, and I was ready to go. So it was great. It worked out great for me. I had time off. Obviously, the right day was picked. Thursday and Friday was what I was banking on. But I liked it how it ended. It was all start to finish on Thursday. Then today I could just kind of kick back, relax, not do anything, not worry about anything. I did nothing all day. Obviously, it was just like today's just a day to do. I'm like nothing at all. So rested up, recalibrated. There was no gym, no exercise. I'll do that, tomorrow. But tomorrow, I'm going to be on the Glare tomorrow. The Glare is taking care of fundraiser duties this weekend. He is going to do a 12-hour fundraiser tomorrow. That's 9 a.m. Eastern time. That fundraiser is going to begin again at 9 a.m. And it's going to go right up to 9 p.m. before turtle time at 9 p.m. So Glare is going to have a 9 to 9 fundraiser tomorrow, all-day affair, breakfast, lunch, happy hour, dinner. This is going to be basically right through the whole day. I don't know what time I'm going to be there, but I will be on there. I'm going to be on there for probably at least 2 to 3 hours minimum. There's no question, 2 to 3 hours minimum. I just don't know when I'm going to be on. I don't know when. It probably won't be 9 or 10, probably after 12. I'm thinking somewhere between 12 and 3 I should pop on, I'd imagine. And then I'll be on. And then I'll be on for a few hours. If I do decide to step away, I'll probably maybe come back later in the night as well. Maybe for the last hour, potentially. We'll see. I'll get it figured out. But we're gonna rock and roll tomorrow with the fundraiser. I thank the Glare for taking care of that fundraiser this weekend. I originally was going to do a Sunday one, but in light of him doing one, we're just going to go through him this weekend, let him take over that for the weekend. Then I'm going to do one next weekend. So I'm going to come back next Sunday with the fundraiser and kick off April with the fundraiser on my channel. But it's nice. I don't have to host this week, which is good. Glare can take care of everything. And $150,000. We should hit that tomorrow for sure. So that's good. No, not on my own. That's because I don't want to double up on the fundraisers. It's just I just like to have like one fundraiser at a time and everybody pushes towards that fundraiser that's being hosted. So that's what we're going to do this weekend. So plus I can, because I'm going to do the show tonight. Tomorrow I'll be on his show. I didn't want to wait till Sunday to do my show. Fortunately, my energy came back to this evening, so I can do my show tonight. That way I can I want to do a free talking session tonight, so I'm just going to kind of play it as I go throughout tonight's show, and that's going to be pretty much it. Then tomorrow, it's going to be a big show. A lot of guests, obviously. A lot of familiar guests from my show have been invited as well. They'll be on there, so it's going to be a great time tomorrow. And I watched Justice Served as well. I missed the first 20 minutes, I think, but I caught the second half of William Page, the stepfather of Kelsey Fitzsimmons interview. Great guy. I'll talk about him a little bit later as well on this program. And it's going to be it's going to be a great show today, and it's going to be a great fundraiser tomorrow. And I'm definitely fired up. That's for sure. There's no question about that. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm fired up. That's all I got to say. I'm happy. I'm happy as hell. This is fantastic. This is, when you push so hard for this stuff, and we all push so hard for this. I mean, we've seen a Facebook go from like 7,000 people to 17,000 people like the last week or two. That's how much this story has just exploded. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity, but that's what you want. This is what I've been praying for. I wanted people to get interested in this story, and it wasn't just for Kelsey, but it was just for the fact that people need to focus on us as people in the American states or the world need to focus on injustice. And this was a justice-based story that needed to be told, needed to be heard, needed to have eyes on, needed to have internet coverage, needed to have everyday people like ourselves that are non-typical media people following. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. And what we're up to is basically doing what we got to do to get the job done and get that job done as soon as possible is exactly what we set out to do. And we're happy about that. We're satisfied about our work. We all did a great job. And I know my channel gets a lot of hype. Mazza, thank you for the fundraisers. I hear the comments online, but the fact of the matter is it's not, I don't like to take credit in a sense that I did this. We did this. We all got this done. And let's be honest. Well, this channel had fundraisers that raised over $42,000. The fact is, it was people like yourselves that donated, right? Those donations, I did not pay $42,000. I made donations several times to GiveSendGo, but it was the people that watched the fundraisers that donated, the people that gave $5 all the way up that helped out Kelsey. And I'm so thankful for that, because that was the idea I had in my head early on. When I heard about this story on September 8th, right around there, just around that time, I had been shocked by that story. And the GiveSendGo is pinned to the top of the chat. I had been intrigued by this story. Someone had brought it to my attention that is near and dear to me, who I love, care about, great friend, and shared the story with me and let me know what was going on. I started to follow that story, and literally right around that same time, we had learned that Kelsey was going back into court 3 days later. And what ended up happening was Judge Kathleen McCarthy decided to banish her to Western Massachusetts to spend time in jail again after she had just gotten out. And at that time, I went nuclear. I went absolutely nuclear. And I went nuclear about this story. It was like, this is absolutely insane what I just saw happen. And because early on, when I first heard about the story, the first couple of days, I was when you're kind of new to the story, you're just hearing about it. People are telling you about it. You're kind of hearing a little bit of news on it. Like even with the Karen Reed case, it was the same thing. The first couple of days, it was kind of like a sparked curiosity, like a curiosity. Then it became a sparked curiosity. And then that became, this is ridiculous. I can't believe it. That's basically what ended up happening. you know, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's exactly what this is all about, is how that was what got my interest, was when she got sent back to jail. I said, man, oh man, oh man. And was like, here we go. This is another story that doesn't make sense. And this is a story that's absolutely outrageous. And, you know, one of the things I learned through my journey through Karen Read and seeing what other content creators and other followers of those shows that donated to Karen Read's fundraisers did, we succeeded in raising money for Karen Read. And Michael Morrissey, in a leaked email or an email that got out there, basically asked for money for Hank Brennan to be the special prosecutor in the second Karen Read trial. And after that fact was revealed, we realized that there was a comment made by Michael Morrissey. And what Michael Morrissey said was that Karen Read's defense fund was uncommonly well funded and that he needed $1 million to basically try Karen Read a second time. And even though I had done fundraisers, been on fundraisers, participated in donating myself, you know, I realized then and there how not only was fundraising effective in actually helping people, but we realized how much of an impact it had on helping Karen's defense team, and how much that helped her in her battle against a Commonwealth in Norfolk County that tried to basically corner her and send her to prison. So very early on, my attitude was, this story is outrageous, but I knew that fundraising was going to be a big deal. And I felt that that was going to be, for me, a mission that I felt we needed to do, was to raise money for her. And that's why we set out on all these fundraisers. That's why we did that. And those fundraisers are useless without every single person that tuned into this show, shared the fundraising link, and gave money to Kelsey Fitzsimmons to help her out. And that is an absolute fact here, to say the least. 1 second here. That was an absolute fact, to say the least. So, in essence, throughout all of this, it is a movement of people who once again came together that were able to make this whole thing work and get this job done and accomplish this. And like I said, I often hear the credit coming my way. I often hear that, and I'm grateful for the recognition. However, I ultimately feel that it is all of us that came together to put together that amount of money. And not only through this fundraiser, but to everyone else that donated when there was not a fundraiser going on. Common Sense Investigators fundraisers were going on. Allison was setting up popcorn stores. These were fantastic moments throughout all of this. And yesterday I learned just how much of an impact we had. I definitely felt it. Definitely felt it from the family, the appreciation, because a lot of times we'll do these shows and my mind don't realize how much we're helping out. You know, and Apps, thank you so much, Blue. I appreciate the compliment there. Thank you for your comment. I greatly appreciate that. Looks like a friend in Canada here. Thank you so much, Blue. I appreciate that. Your dog looks fantastic. Love the dog there. Thank you so much. We did what we needed to do, right? And oftentimes we come on this show and you do these shows, you just think, we're doing the shows, we're making money for someone in need that needs this help. And then you don't often realize how much that affects the people you're actually raising money for until you actually meet them. And you realize, like, wow, we've helped out more than we realize. And I just want to relay to you guys how much the family appreciates all of us for what we did. Those were fundraisers were not just Mazza fundraisers, right? They were on my channel. They were on Common Sense Investigator, but we did this together. It was you guys that donated, shared, hyped this chat up, hyped this all up together. And we just did what we did with Karen Reed's case, was we had a movement. And the Glare, who hosts the 12-hour fundraisers, advertised earlier in the show, says this is the greatest community on YouTube without a doubt. And that's a man that's been in a couple other communities that says this is the best he's ever seen. You know, and what we're going to do next is tomorrow we're going to get right back into it. The Glare has already spoken. 12-hour fundraiser tomorrow, beginning at 9 a.m., ending at 12 p.m. Glare, I'll be there probably after 12 o'clock. We're going to get going again. And this mission is not over yet. Now, here's the thing. We are absolutely all out celebrating not guilty here tonight. But Kelsey has made it clear, and we know this to be true. That was the first half of this epic saga. And this epic saga hasn't seen its most epic victory yet. That epic victory is yet to come. And the biggest victory in all of this is what Kelsey Fitzsimmons has sought out to get back what she has been fighting for from the very day in her own home, is getting her baby boy back. So now, guess what? All of this criminality stuff, this assault charge, anything that went through the grand jury, the scram tests, the ankle monitors, her not being able to walk out in her backyard, guess what? All gone. All over. It's bye-bye. Game over. The Commonwealth is out of this picture. Judge Karp, we salute you. Non-alcoholic seltzer. That job is done. Finish that off. We salute you, Judge Karp. Lots of great guests lined up for the Glare show tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Cannot wait, Will. I am fired up right now, man. I had no energy till 5 o'clock today. None. But I'm fired up right now. But Judge Karp got it done. What should we put in the chat? What should we put in the chat for Judge Karp? We're gonna pick him up an emoji for Judge Karp. I don't know. Just write Judge Karp or something in the chat. Yeah, I'm taller than the Glare. That's we know that. We figured that out. Just I don't know. Put what did I say? I already forgot. Throw some emojis in the chat. Just pick an emoji. Everyone just pick a random emoji. There we go. Steph's got a good one here. Here we go. Pick a random emoji or just write Judge Karp. We got this judge. This judge did what was right. He did what was right. He got this job done. It was absolutely fantastic. That's all we ask of our judicial system, is for a judge to preside over a trial and make the right decision. No fuss, no ifs, ands, or buts, just making the right decision. And Judge Karp made the right decision, ladies and gentlemen. It's Karp with the K. Karp with the K. Judge Karp was a great judge. And I'll tell you, that was a guy who just knew exactly what needed to be done. He was more than honest. He was more than, maybe a black card for the black robe. That makes sense. A black card for a black robe. That makes sense. That was absolutely fantastic, the job he did. He did everything by the book, the letter of the law. He weighed it fairly and did a great job. We're going to get to that in a little bit. So I'm talking about my day. Like I said, this is kind of my blurb here tonight, and all of that. And that's what I'm going to do. This is kind of a victory show. We're going to play it by ear and just kind of go tonight. But yes, we got the correct verdict, the right result, and it's on to family court now. All roads lead to family court, and Kelsey Fitzsimmons is now on the path to seeing her son, her baby boy, who she has not seen since June 30th of last year. This fight is about ready to begin with no stops what's the song? No Stop Till Brooklyn. No stops till Family Court, and say no stops till Salem. We are full speed ahead now. We'll get the train whistle out for this one. We need to inject some comedy tonight. Full speed ahead. We're going, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Here we go. This is it now. Kelsey's problems in terms of charges are out of the way. Now it's about getting her baby. And then after that, it's a civil suit discussion. That's all I got to say, because I know there's got to be civil suits. One sec, ladies and gentlemen. I might be frozen here. Please stand by. Check to see if I'm still here. All right, let's see. Maybe I'm back. Am I gone? Am I gone? Did I freeze? One sec. All right, looks like I lost my key. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let's see if you guys can hear me. Okay, one sec. I'm going to be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. All right, after these messages, we'll be right back. All right, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Back live with you here on MazzaMedia. Sorry for those technical difficulties. Happy to be back. Just a little bit of technical there that happened. And now we are back live with you guys. So here we go. We're back live. We're rocking and rolling. And again, technical difficulties happened. It was very weird what went on there. But yes, Kelsey's fighting to get her baby back now, which is what this is all about. And exactly what this all comes down to is her getting her child back and getting back to where she needs to be in her life. Super chat here from Cynthia. The photos of Kelsey hugging Mazza touch my heart so much. You put your whole heart and soul into supporting her, and it's nice to see that she appreciates you as much as we all do. Thank you so much for that comment. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for that comment. I know a lot of people were happy about that as well. Let me just check one thing here as well. Okay. All right. And we should be good. One sec. Let's check that. Okay, good. All right, we're back to normal. All right, back to this live show. All right, here we go. So, is everybody still here? Making sure we're still live. One second. Let's check the feed again. Oh, we're back. Okay, we're good. Okay, so So in essence here today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my day. This was my first time there. I know a lot of people want to hear about my day. So I'm going to talk to you about that, tell you about how the day went and how the experience was. And I'll start by saying it was my first time in Lawrence. As everybody knows, I talked about my 3 hours of sleep. Didn't fall asleep till 2, got up at 5. I think I left at 5:50 right on the dot. It was dark out, right? So I got there, thick traffic, obviously on the highways up. So the wedding gifts, I know about that. My understanding is that it did not, my understanding is that Kelsey probably doesn't have possession of that. That's my understanding. So I got to Lawrence, and so I drove up there early because I did not want to deal with a couple things. I didn't want to deal with gridlock traffic. I didn't want to deal with potential accidents. I didn't want to deal with getting in court and being far back in line. I didn't want to deal with what was some other things? Oh, just maybe not getting into court. So I said, you know what? I'm getting up so early. So I drive in up 495, and about 20 minutes into my drive, my brain just starts to go like this, and I'm kind of driving like, don't you fall asleep. Then I woke up 20 minutes later, but I was fine. I wasn't asleep while I was driving. I was kind of a little sluggish. Got in the Lawrence, found a nice parking spot. And when I got there, one thing I noticed about Lawrence is there's a lot of bricks. Every building's like a brick building. It's like everywhere I look, there's brick buildings. Even when I sat in court and looked out the window, the building next door had bricks. There's mills, there's everything. Visually, the town looked nice. People are kind of selling it short in terms of how it looks, but I guess this town's a little bit violent, potentially. So, whatever. So, yeah, there's so many bricks in Lawrence. There's more bricks than LeBron James when he plays in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Nobody flops. The only person that flops more than LeBron is probably Justin. Old mill town for sure. I mean, you go there and it's a classic old mill town for sure. You can tell a lot of those mills are converted. A lot of mills in this state have been converted into studio apartments and businesses and other places. So you can tell it's an old mill town for sure. But I like the town center a lot. It looked nice. So I get there and it's raining. And I look at the weather app and I'm like, okay, it's probably not going to rain for like another hour. It's going to be light rain. So I decide not to take my hat. And finally I get there and I'm driving up the whole way. It's still raining. It's still raining. It's still raining. I find shout out to Lori Mullen from Mullen Law suggesting a parking area for me right like a block or two away. You can send me an email at MazzaMedia@yahoo.com. I know I still have some emails I have not gotten back to yet. I apologize. Like I said, I didn't do much today, if anything. Yesterday was locked up. So, yes, please send an email to MazzaMedia@yahoo.com. I try to respond in 2 to 3 days if I can. I apologize if I don't get back to everybody as soon as possible. I do apologize. But thank you. Yep, MazzaMedia@yahoo.com is where you're going. So, you're welcome, Blue. 1 second here. 1 second. Okay, good. All right, just wanted to check something back in the backstage area. So, I haven't seen the New Balance factory store. I think I might have seen it though when I drove through. So I get there, I park, I walk down the street, and I'm like, there's probably going to be so many people there already at 7. And all of a sudden I get there, there's nobody there. I'm like, it's just me. So I say to myself, okay, I guess this is the main door. I'm like, maybe this is not the main door. Maybe there's already people here. Maybe I'm at the wrong entrance. So I walk around the side of the courthouse to the other side, and I run into a guy that's a court person, and I say, hey, is this the main entrance to the other side? He's like, the main entrance. I'm like, okay. I head back. Go back. Nobody there. But because I don't have a hat and it's raining, there's some great news for me. This courthouse saved my morning right off the bat and basically had like an overhang. So if you go right up on the stairs, the rain can't get you anymore. So that took care of my hat problem. It was great. So here's a story for you. You guys are going to find extremely interesting because my day gets really interesting really quick. So as I'm waiting for other people to arrive, it's like 7:10, 7 whatever. All of a sudden around 7:10-ish, about 8 men show up in suits, guys that look like cops. That's exactly what they were. North Andover police showed up. The guys that were believed to be North Andover police showed up. 7:10. And I'm all by myself. And I'm standing to the right of the stairs, to the right door. And the North Andover cops, who I believe were the North Andover cops, show up. And it's about 10 of them. I'm by myself. And now I'm sitting there and I'm like, I go, I don't know if these guys know me. I don't know if they know me at all. But I go, I'm just going to keep shut, not say why I'm there, keep it cool. I wasn't gonna be like, hey, you guys here to support Kelsey? Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna pull that at all. I'm like, those guys are definitely cops here to support you know who, Santa Cop. So definitely these guys in North Andover. So I don't recognize any of them. So finally, I'm out there with these guys. Now I'll tell you one thing: I had no issue with these cops at all out front, none. The cop that sat next to Noonan was extremely outgoing with me. No issues with him at all. Obviously, I think he was very close to Noonan, that officer, but had no issue with that officer, no complaints. A couple of them were like kind of cool with me. They didn't really know why I was there. I mean, they probably considered maybe I had a court date or something. So it was fine. So nothing went wrong there, which was great. Obviously sometimes the supporters were a little bit on edge, but everything was cool with those cops. And then once Noonan showed up, not Noonan, Houston showed up, Daly showed up. A little bit after those guys did, some supporters started to matriculate in. So it was the cops to the left, it was the supporters to the right. Like I said, I had no issues with those officers in terms of there was no altercations, there was no dirty looks that I was aware of, nothing that happened. So that was good. I had no issues. I had one issue with one lady, I believe may have been a cop or a dispatcher with them later in the day. That was brief, that I'll talk about. Make sure I remember to tell you that story. Basically, she gave me a real dirty look. She was to the left of the court entry door. So I'm facing the court entry door. I looked to my left where all the cops were, and she's just giving me this fierce look. She was like in a green shirt, brown hair. She's giving me this death stare. And I looked back at her, and that was about it. But like I said, I had no issues with the cops, or no altercations, no words, no negativity, nothing out of them at all. From what I saw, they were there, they were cordial. Obviously they were their own pack. But everything was fine there. So I had no issues. Again, except for that person I was giving a dirty look. But I didn't. I heard maybe they might have been, but I didn't. Like I said, I personally did not have any bad experiences, except for again that. Well, I don't know. She just had a dirty look on her face. But when I looked at it, it looked like she was looking at me. I mean, she was 5 feet away, so whatever. But like I said, no bad experiences on my part at all. Noonan showed up outside. I saw Houston. I saw Daly. Then Noonan showed up. Noonan was there. Noonan kind of had a hero's welcome from the cops. You could tell they were definitely a band of brothers. They were hugging him, shaking hands. Lauren Katie had reported something might have been said among that group about let's get a not guilty verdict might have been said. But other than that, like I said, I had no personal bad experiences with any of the officers all day long, except for that one dirty look I got. And again, Noonan got like a hero's welcome from his brotherhood. So as you can see right then and there, I mean, it was clear to me that those officers were all Team Noonan. None of them were Team Fitzsimmons at all. And, there was no issues, again, that I had with them. So we got into court, checked in, sat down, and I'll tell you, the court was packed. And it was interesting because you guys might have seen on camera, it was kind of, you have two competing groups. You have two groups of different ideologies. You have people that are family of Kelsey, that are personally affected by this. You have friends of Kelsey that were personally affected by this. You have people like myself and many others that are supporters that feel for her, take her side. And then you have officers. You have friends and family, perhaps, of Noonan that were there. So you have this competing ideology. It's not like sports, or maybe outside of football, most fan base, maybe hockey fans, maybe football fans are more combative amongst themselves. But non-playoff games, you don't usually see too much tenseness. But with a court case, this is two competing groups that are in the morning and in the afternoon, just standing. I mean, I was standing next to a cop, and then there was a cop to my left. And then there were fellow Kelsey supporters in front of me. It was kind of like, like not tense for me. I didn't feel like, personally, I didn't feel any tension. So I was fine there. So nothing negative to report. I'm going to report fairly, obviously. I'm not going to come out here and just blast these guys because they're North Andover. I just blast the North Andover PD on the condition that I don't like how they conducted themselves on this particular case, and question how they're conducting themselves as a department, not necessarily a reflection on any officer as an individual, but necessarily as protocol goes and ensuring those officers are doing their jobs to the fullest, meaning they're as trained as much as possible to prevent any situation like this. So that's kind of my attitude on this. But I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know if I have answers for you, Kylie. So like I said, it was kind of a little tense at times, just because, again, the officers, they're a brotherhood. You can tell, you see the way they greet each other. It's like when I used to be on sports teams and saw my teammates at events. It's, fist bumps. It's, it's all that stuff. It's the brotherhood. It's the wolf pack getting together. You can feel it among you, which is typical. You're going to expect that. With the Kelsey fans, supporters, it was kind of that, family of let's get this done for Kelsey. We want to see her walk out of here. So again, it was kind of interesting to have to be among them. There was like a level of kind of like, keep to yourselves kind of mentality going on there. You can see in some of the pictures, Mullen Law posted one, how compacted we are. So like I said, it's tough in situations where people have competing ideologies or competing interests or viewpoints going into a courtroom. And had this been a case that, had been like, say, a family that someone, just something, where families might actually go like this, it might be tough to not have maybe that more isolated going forward, because obviously, if you're a member of Kelsey's family, you're probably not the biggest fan of these cops, to say the least, and you're pretty justified in feeling that way. But I stand by my perspective that not all cops are bad, not all cops are good. I think that's just a fair assessment. I definitely, obviously, I'm a cop supporter, but I'm a supporter of cops doing the right thing, doing their job to the best of their ability. So I'm a big proponent for that, obviously, but I'm not someone that's anti-police because I had issues with the Canton police or the North Andover police. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily fully against the state police. There's issues I have with certain areas, certain things that were done. I have a major issue with how this thing was carried out with Kelsey, and that's my perspective. But again, I'm not going to stand next to another fellow officer of North Andover PD that might actually be a good cop. One of my buddies is a cop in New Jersey. He's a good cop, but he works for a department that is, quite frankly, pretty bad, pretty dirty. And it's a struggle for him to get through that. No question about it. So I can understand that some of those cops are probably good guys, and I'm not going to sit here and, trash them all. It's just essentially trash them through what I've seen and what I feel is an honest critique of what they need to improve. And I would recommend body cams to that police department. I think they need to get that going for themselves, make some improvements there, prevent something like this from happening again, work to be a better police department. That's all we ask at the end of the day, is become a better police department. And that's how you get there. Emily C., I got to meet for the first time yesterday. Emily is a tremendous woman. Emily is exactly what you see in person, no pun intended. But she's just a great person, great soul, kind-hearted person, just as happy and chipper and friendly in person as you'd expect. Love her, gave her a big hug yesterday, obviously. Love Emily. And she goes, it's heartening to hear there were whistleblowers with NAPD. That's how you change the narrative. And yeah, you wonder, was there a cop or two amongst us yesterday that was there just to show their face, because I guess the last thing you want to do is, well, why didn't you show up? Why didn't you show up, Dave? Yeah, Dave. Why weren't you at court yesterday supporting Noonan? Chuck Norris movie reference. That's exactly what happened in the movie Code of Silence with Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris just recently passed away. What was that movie about? It was about an officer that accidentally shot and killed a kid. And the whole department went to bat to protect the guy, except for Chuck Norris, who knew the guy was dirty. And when Chuck Norris broke the Code of Silence in that movie, what did they do? They tried to leave him for dead. They tried to leave him be, till they realized that cop actually had a bad shoot. When his own partner said, not Chuck Norris's partner, the cop, the partner of the cop that misshot the guy in the apartment building, told everybody he did it. And then the rest of the department finally turned on that officer. But that's what I know. The irony is insane. But if you watch the movie Code of Silence, that's exactly what that movie is about. So you could definitely have cops in that department that maybe just don't want to say anything because they don't want it to be their badge, or other things. And some people like myself suspect Emily C. making a point here. Houston's the only cop who visited Kelsey in the hospital. Is that because of good intentions, or is that because of department intentions? We don't know. But there's a chance here that Noonan potentially might be a whistleblower. Some other people disagree, but there's a chance. We'll see. But someone said Officer Houston was struggling. I know. That's why I kind of have I don't have a strong-willed theory, but I kind of have him under like a potential candidate of a whistleblower. I'm not saying it's certain. I'm not saying I strongly believe it. I'm just saying that I definitely see that. I think there's a chance he could be a part of the whistleblowers. I don't want to necessarily throw the guy under the bus, but I'm suspecting. That's my attitude. That's just how I view it. 75% of our people in our poll recently voted that they actually thought he was one of the whistleblowers. So, but yeah, I mean, he's going to show, if he is, he's going to show up, he's going to make an appearance, he's going to do what he's got to do. All that for sure. So we'll see. But right now I'm kind of open-minded on him that he could be anything. So I know. I just imagine if his whole posture and body language is because of all this. Like, that's the way he acted on the stand was because of that. Because we saw him in court yesterday. I looked at him a few times. I glanced at him. He's kind of, so you just never know. You just never know. So getting to the court, like I said, I had no bad experiences with the officers. No bad experiences with any of the more notable officers at all, of course. So we got in the courtroom. I found my seat in the far back. I actually sat right behind Noonan the first time. So I sat behind him. And he was statuesque. He was statuesque, just like you saw on camera. He was statuesque the whole time. Looked like his wife was with him. Very statuesque. I didn't really see him ever flinch, move around a little bit. He was just very stoic the entire time. And again, there was really I couldn't sense a temperature in his demeanor at all. So he was very poised when he was sitting there. So I sat behind him, and I actually sat next to two officers. One of them, I forget the guy's name now, brown hair. I already forget his name. I was sitting next to him. Then another officer came and sat. It was 4 people on our bench. And then someone came again. We were already kind of tight because I'm a big guy. Well, another big officer about my height came in, maybe my height, maybe near my body size, maybe an inch or two shorter, around the same weight. Yeah, it was Core. I think it was Core I sat next to. Brown hair, brown suit, mustache. I was sitting next to him. And then another cop tucked in, and we're all like, oh, we got to, he's kind of tight and compacted. I'm tight and compacted. Me and him are the 2 biggest people on this bench. We made do. I tend to have to spread my, extend my legs a little bit and reposition my body. So I was kind of a little bit uncomfortable from time to time, obviously. So Bradel, the defense team walks in, the prosecutor, Gubitosi walks in. I see Aiden, Jess Machado, Michael Bryant, Sarah Conji, what's the lady from WBZ? Blonde hair. Why am I drawing a blank on her? She was there. Christina Rex was there. So I saw the media come in. There were a lot of cops. I'd say probably about 20 of them, 25 of them. And then I'm 6'5". And then again, they were all interlayered. So you'd look around and you'd see someone you recognize, and there's a cop next to them and a cop next to someone you recognize. Turtle Boy pointed me out last night in Turtle Club. That's cool. I didn't see that. I have no impression of Noonan's wife at all. There was really not, honestly, these people were statuesque. I mean, they were just kind of like this. They were holding hands. That I noticed later in the day, because the next time I sat actually closer to them by chance, not by design. Thank you so much, Kelly Reed. But they were holding hands. She was basically the supportive wife. I think they tried to kind of, I don't know if it was intended or this is what they truly believe. Yeah, 6'5". But they kind of tried to present a posture that I saw that was like, this is, he's kind of the good guy in this. He's kind of justified in his belief system, was kind of the posture that I saw from them. It was kind of like a together, supporting wife, hands with her husband, holding hands with her husband. And again, statuesque, not a flinch, not a facial expression, not a tick in the face, nothing. It was just stoicism out of both of them. And a lot of the cops were very stoic. Chief Gray was there in the morning. He was in the back row, again, stoic. Houston Daly, stoic. The other cops I had kind of met outside, typical cops, just no expressions, nothing, just pure stoicism, wholeheartedly stoicism, no question about it. And so court began, obviously. Bradel went first. The defense went first. And then they got the business. And I listened to Bradel. And Bradel did a thorough closing argument. They got the closing arguments. Bradel did a thorough closing argument. I had no critique that was negative. He had 30-minute limit. I think he used about 15 minutes. He had definitely a great presentation. I thought he handled the legality of it all well. I thought he summarized his entire, everything he did leading up to that week, from opening statements to, cross and direct examinations. I thought Bradel hit all his key points. I thought he cited good law to the judge. I thought he did, so Noonan was not directly behind Kelsey. It might have appeared that way on camera, but that is not true. He was, there was probably at least a 5 to 7 foot difference, and he was more off to the right. So it wasn't necessarily directly behind. And the reasoning that I'm to understand is that Kelsey was to the right so she could see the people on the witness stand. Noonan was also to the far right so he could see people on the witness stand. That's my understanding of that. I didn't really get that vibe. I couldn't really tell, but he was stoic. Maybe that comes off as nervousness to some, but my vibe was just kind of a stoic, locked-in presence out of him in court. Now, these comments, ladies and gentlemen, grow up in the chat. Grow up. No, just kidding. You guys. So yes, I thought Bradel's closing arguments were fantastic. Hit all the key points. He did not. The aliens were not there. The aliens were not there. I'm sorry. None of them were present. It was just the only people there that I noticed that were on the opposing side of Kelsey were cops. That was it that I'm aware of. But none of the alien family were there at all. But yes, I thought, getting back to Bradel, his presentation was fantastic. I'm going to take a quick break here for Music to My Soul. Music to My Soul writes, the court should have never allowed Noonan to sit directly behind Kelsey. That's intimidating. He shot her after all. That made me uncomfortable. Yeah, like I said, he was more off to the side, but definitely, I guess you could make an argument still. But again, I thought there was a certain amount of feet distance. You got court officers nearby as well. Pretty much out of sight, out of mind, I think. But I didn't, at least I didn't get that. Typically, I'm a little bit more numb to kind of those kind of things in terms of I'm sorry, but just sitting next to the cops, that don't bother me. It's just kind of like, I keep a respectable presence, meaning it's just like, I'm not gonna jaw it out with these folks. I'm not gonna get into it with them. I'm not gonna give them dirty looks. I'm not gonna do that. But like, I just sat next to them. I'm like, it's a courtroom. There's court officers. Whatever. But overall, again, I thought Bradel did a great job. And, I'll maybe share about a little bit what me and Mark Betterow, went to Kowloon's. We went to Kowloon's. We talked about it on the ride over. Betterow, I'm sure he'll share this if he's on the fundraiser tomorrow. But Betterow agreed with me. I agreed with Betterow. We just felt that Bradel did a great job. We did a fantastic job, and Bradel did a fantastic job. And we had a great conversation about that. And, I was just happy with the presentation and everything that went on. So, yeah, I just, again, I thought Bradel was concise. I think the thing about Bradel is I didn't think I didn't think, thank you, Sui Generous. I didn't think Bradel went overboard. I thought he was measured. I didn't think he went too long. I thought he measured his time well. I think he just kind of really took, it's like the food groups, right? The food groups. Just take the food groups, essentially, the court equivalent. What are the key points? What is the law? What are you looking from the judge? Why should this not be a not guilty verdict? What are the summary of the facts? And present it. And I thought he did a great job. I thought he knocked it out of the park. It didn't need to be extravagant. It was just, these are the points. These are the facts. This is what the law is. This is why you should acquit. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Gubitosi. Obviously, one sec. Gubitosi, and Judge Karp didn't want any drama. We're going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on that. Yes, Mr. Monk's on a study. I agree. Definitely different strategies. Now, I thought about Karp. Now, Karp, for the first half, his closing argument to me for the first half was what I kind of expected. Now, before he did his closing argument, before the judge came in the room, one of the court officers, one of the court officials, I'll say, not an officer, came in and had the box that had the firearm in it. Okay. And I saw that come right in, and I said, okay, that's interesting. That's going to be coming in the courtroom right now. Then, right before closing arguments, it gets placed right down on Gubitosi's desk. And I'm like, oh, here we go. He's going to use that as a prop in his closing argument, which he did. So Karp goes ahead, in his first half of his closing argument, what was kind of, to me, to be expected. It was like, she lied and she said this and she lied. She's a liar. That was basically what I expected. I'm not going to expect them to say, yeah, the Commonwealth drops all the charges or whatever. I'm sure Kelsey didn't mean it. And I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Then this guy gets up, and I was hearing outside afterwards that people's screams were actually getting shut down because of this. And they had to restart them. So this guy takes this firearm. Okay. I'm going to use my, this is my headset charger. Plugs into the headset here and then plugs into these. I'm going to use this as an example. So he uses basically the firearm. And, one of the things they teach you when you're holding a firearm, before you operate a firearm, is to always treat your firearm like it's loaded, right? So one of the things I'm saying to myself, I go, has anybody checked? Now, obviously, look, 99% of the time, I'll just use the old example. 99% of the time, you're going to check the firearm first. You're going to make sure it's loaded. You're going to check, is there anything in the chamber, and you're going to double check it, right? So when I see the firearm brought in, what I see is the box come in, the box open, the firearm placed on the desk, and later, midway through his closing argument, Gubitosi pull it out, and then basically not check inside the chamber. I'm like, is there a magazine in that thing? Did he cock it back? No, he doesn't do that at all. He picks the thing up, and I'm like, then I realize he has his finger on the trigger. Now, two things you're supposed to do. Yeah, no gloves. Good point. Two things you're supposed to do. Check to make sure there's nothing in the chamber. Make sure it's not loaded. And then you're going to make sure before you do this that you're going to have your finger essentially on the base, not on the trigger, but on the base like this. So you're going to have your finger, so your finger doesn't, like in the movies, they always have their finger on the trigger, but you want to have it here, right here, not here, here. That's called safety until you're ready to fire. You want to keep it here. So he has his finger on the trigger. Now, those are issues I have because this guy's trying to present himself as someone that's an expert on firearms and make firearm arguments. And to me, he's forgetting the first two rules of dodgeball. Okay, so and Jess knows about weapons. Jess has served in the military. She knows, and you see this happening. So you don't think in your wildest dreams, okay, you don't actually think that this guy, for a second, is actually going to pull the trigger. And he does. He actually does. And he does it at least 3 times. And the first time he did it, I kind of went, I kind of moved. I kind of reacted. I was like, he just did not do that, because I'm literally expecting that this thing just to go boom, you know. I was ready for an Alec Baldwin moment. So he aims it like in a corner, front right corner of the courtroom, and pulls the trigger. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't, here's the argument. It doesn't matter if the firearm was checked before it was handed to him. The argument is that he should be checking the firearm himself, no matter what, even if he's not even intending to fire it in court, or dry fire it in court. Okay. That's the issue that I had with that, is that for your own safety and for your, I mean, because God forbid, again, not in a lifetime when that thing had been loaded anyways, but it doesn't matter. You should always check. Those are safety protocols that you're taught that you need to follow. And he didn't do that. At least I didn't see him do it, because I didn't hear the noise. I didn't hear the kickback, the check. You know, and was the judge aware? I don't know. I know that one of the officers, I forget his name, actually dry fired in court in the same direction earlier in the trial. But again, I didn't think that was good practice. You know, that DA, you know, Gubitosi should be advised, that ADA, whatever he is, should be advised to make sure he's going through his own checks. And now, to that point, I just felt that was theatrics, courtroom theatrics. You know, I just thought that was unnecessary. I mean, he could have used his finger. He could have used like a hand gesture. Obviously, I just don't think it was. I just felt like it was used as a prop. That's my argument. I just felt like it was theatrics. It was a way to kind of we're really trying to sell Kelsey's guilty. Look at me holding this and dry firing in court. And I think he could have made that argument without the theatrical element to it and without having to go that far. I just thought it was ridiculous. And I think, to me, I'll be honest, it didn't have any impact on the verdict at all. There's no way it would have had an impact. I just thought it was courtroom theatrics. And, you know, I think it was just going too far. And I think he could have made I think he could have made, regardless of whether or not we agree with his arguments and his closing statements, I feel like he could have just made the same arguments and the same things without using that theatrical element. That's where I stand with that. Again, he's going to say what he's going to say. We're going to disagree with it anyways, but I didn't think the theatrics were necessary. But they were memorable, because I remember it because I'm talking about it. So he got done. Then Bradel had objections. They went to sidebar for a while, and everybody was up there. Kelsey, the whole defense team, everybody. And, you know, I think Betterow might tell you about, I don't think that would be allowed in New York. Betterow had told me that. He might share that tomorrow. I don't think you could actually do what Gubitosi did with the firearm in a New York court. But Betterow will share that. But the sidebar was interesting because Bradel got right up and he had several objections. One of them was the firing the 3 shots. A few other objections. They went to sidebar. It was quelled, obviously, and then that was it. We were kicked back to, you know, recess. So I got up. I got ready to, you know, exit out with everybody. Courtney Healy flagged me down. I get to meet Courtney Healy for the first time. Very nice to meet her. Courtney's put in a lot of good time for Kelsey. Obviously, we'll get to Courtney's reaction to the verdict in a bit. Kelsey just, you know, very cordial, very friendly to say hello. Nice to meet you. Good brief conversation with her. You know, reached right out to me. You know, again, it was nice to meet her. I definitely admire the work she's done. Great paralegal for Tim Bradel. No question about that at all. She's been very well in helping Kelsey, just in all the way. It's my understanding that it was Courtney that would ensure Kelsey could actually follow some of our shows and some of our fundraisers. that we had. Oh, geez, really? Runkle said that? That's funny. That's funny, Scorpio. Yeah, it was great to meet her. Very happy about that. And again, she was all in with Kelsey all the way. Really a sisterhood, I think, developed there, kind of like we saw with Liza Little and Karen Reed. And she was really her support system outside her family, and their family had a limited time to call Kelsey when she was in jail. And I think somehow I don't know how they would relay it, but I think Courtney would maybe listen and turn the audio on for her. Or maybe they had like a screen share, maybe like a tablet. I don't know how it worked, but they kind of communicated shows, probably other shows. I'm more than confident. But that was great for Kelsey, just to kind of have a understanding that people are out there actively, sharing her story, vouching for her. Thanks to all you guys that would throw up purple hearts in the chat every time she was watching. We put those, again, I believe she was watching or listening, but we throw up those purple hearts for her, and all that stuff. So that was fantastic. And again, just happy to big old dog. What do you mean? Big old dog. Let me know what you mean. But yeah, it was I don't know, stop what? I think the waterworks are flowing for big old dog. I don't know. Whatever, big old, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, because it's already been well known that information's been shared. So I don't know what you're talking about, big old dog. Respectfully, that was information that's already been well known. So no, it's not. No, it's not. This was well known. This was well known information. This is information that was shared in the chat months ago. So no, I like you, big old dog, but this has been information that was already known. We already knew this. So this is not new information at all. I love you, big old dog, but we're good. Yeah, exactly. We already knew that. Yeah, we already knew that. So that was well-known information. So I'm not, I just want to get your understanding. Big old dog, love you. I love you. I love you. I do. But we're moving on. We're moving on. I love you. But now you're good. You're good. Love your dog too. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. Glamma Suze confirms we would watch when Kelsey was watching. It was no secret. Exactly. It was well-known information. No question about that. So what was I talking about next? So I met Courtney Healy. And then, then I met, let's see what we got here. Thank you so much, Lala. You see that red flash up on the screen. It's like, whoa. A big old dog's good. A big old dog I get along with great. Just a difference of opinion. I respect difference of opinion. It was something I just wanted to take, converse about a little bit. Lala 888 says, Mazza, the time, energy, and passion you poured into this is incredible. You have a gift of bringing people together and fighting injustice happening before our eyes. And I think it's the big old dog. Big old dog's just being precautious. So we love big old dog. We're not going to be negative at all to big old dog. Thank you all for being cordial. And fighting injustice happening before our eyes, while still infusing so much positivity and hope. Truly inspiring, and I hope everything good comes to you. Thank you so much, Lala, for that. I appreciate it. I can't tell what your image is. I can't tell what the image is. It looks like it's almost like a beach photo, like Miami Beach or something. Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that. And, I appreciate your kind words. And I also just appreciate everybody else's efforts as well. The donators, the story spreaders, the Facebook group creators, the popcorn group, people that set that up, Allison that got it set up, and all that. Big dog's being cautious. Got it. No problem, big dog. So thank you so much for your time on that, Lala. Do appreciate that. All right. Okay, so yeah, I can talk about that. So yeah, Judge Karp had again been very fair and impartial. I think he kind of said something along like, your objections noted. We couldn't hear it. Now, why we couldn't hear it was because they play that white noise amplifier in court, so it's zzz, like that, so you can't hear anything, but you can kind of hear like the vagueness in their words. Like you can kind of hear like you can hear their vocals, but you can't make out the words. You can hear the sound, but you can't make out the words. So it looked like Gubitosi was smirking a lot at sidebar. He was kind of like looking at the judge like that. Congrats, awesome, Kelly. So, one sec. No, I didn't hear anything like that. So basically the sidebar was mostly for Bradel. We're going to get to that too, Tiff. We'll get there. Mostly the sidebar was for Bradel and his objections. And then Gubitosi was kind of just smirking, like, being the opposing viewpoint. Obviously, it's just like everything Bradel's saying is ridiculous. What else would he do, right? So Bradel was making some objections, and Karp's posture was kind of like noted, understand, noted. You can kind of tell that's kind of what it was like, but we couldn't hear it. We couldn't hear it at all. So it's just kind of, you can tell Karp was like, you kind of like, in fairness, I'm gonna, basically that was it. So we were again, recess happened. I met Courtney Healy. Then so after I met Courtney, I met Kelsey. And literally, as soon as I got done talking to Courtney, before I knew it, Kelsey was there. And Kelsey was looking right at me. And, I didn't know if they knew I was in the courtroom. I don't know if they had heard I was going to be there. I don't know. I met the father earlier. The family was already seated, I think, before Kelsey and the defense team came in. So I don't know if they knew who was there, who wasn't there. I don't know. All I know is that Kelsey noticed me and walked right up to me, gave me a big hug. I hugged her. Long hug. She was very grateful, for everything. Let me know that. And, I was appreciative for that compliment, but just again, happy to help her. It was important for me to be there. Definitely at least one day. Boy, did the right day get picked, Thursday. I would have been there today too if it had gone that far. And I was happy. I was just not happy in a sense of like, I was just happy to just see her in person, someone we've been fighting for, but just grateful to meet her, and I didn't expect to meet her right then and there. Like I said, Courtney had noticed me and, flagged me over to say hello to her. And then next thing I know, Kelsey was there. Kelsey is extremely gracious. She's extremely grateful. Now, the pictures that I'm talking about, this hug I'm talking about is not the hug in the pictures. That's actually after. So I hugged Kelsey twice. The pictures you guys saw was after the verdict. So Kelsey came over to me, very appreciative. She said, "Thank you so much." And I said, "You're welcome." I'm just so thankful that people had heard your story, that the story, got bigger so we could raise more money, obviously. And I think it's going to be a great day for you. I might have said, I don't really recall what I said. It was probably some silent moments during that hug, honestly. So it was a great moment. It's just, when you and all of us, we all set out to help somebody, it's powerful to meet them. When I met Karen Reed for the first time, I'd seen her in times since, but the first time you meet them, it's just more powerful the first time. I think they kind of, it's kind of like, whoa, this is the person I've been watching online, following the story. We've been talking about them. And when you see them in person, it's like, wow. And both Karen and her were extremely gracious to me both times. And Kelsey, you could just see the gratitude. This is, and you can see the realness in her. When I first noticed her looking at me, Kelly Reed's in the chat right now. I'll never forget meeting Kelly Reed for the first time. Kelly Reed and me had been looking to meet up at an event for at least a month before we finally met up in June, I think, of the first trial. And I never forget the way Kelly Reed looked at me. With absolute gratitude, gratefulness, obviously probably the same word, gratefulness and gratitude. And I could see that she valued, Kelly Reed's in the chat right now. Kelly Reed valued everything that I contributed. And, she just looked at me with just a look that I can't really put into words. And I remember hugging Kelly, and it was the same kind of hug. It was the same kind of hug with Kelly. And me and Kelly, we still chat every now and then to this day, and say hello and chat or something, exactly. And she still says she has that level of gratitude, and it's powerful, and I guess we don't realize sometimes how much of an impact we have on these families that are going through this sort of thing. And then you sometimes don't really realize it until you meet them. Sometimes we just think we're doing shows or we're watching shows or we're donating. And then when you meet these people, you realize like, wow, like, oh, I'm actually what I'm doing actually has a real impact. I guess I never really knew that. It's kind of like your mind just kind of puts what you're doing in touch with full reality. That's having an impact. I think sometimes myself, I don't always feel like I'm doing enough. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm getting enough done. Like sometimes like maybe I could have done more. Maybe I haven't done enough. I'm kind of that kind of person. So it's, again, I appreciated Kelly Reed. I'll never forget that meeting her for the first time. I remember we took a picture, me and Kelly Reed for the first time, and it was great to meet Kelly. I love Kelly to death, and I'm just blessed to know her, and I'm thankful for her family and all they've been able to achieve through these difficult times that they had to go through. And they're an example of perseverance. And that's what we saw out of the Fitzsimmons family as well, and the Page family as well, was perseverance through the hardest of times. And when I saw Kelsey, look at me to give me that hug, it was thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate that. And I'm thankful so many other people were able to do this as a whole, part of a whole for Karen as well, to help you guys get back to your lives. You know what I'm saying? And settle these civil suits as well. So praying for you guys still. Love the Reed family. Absolutely. Oh, there we go. MazzaMedia has a voice that puts people to sleep. Mark Cunningham says hi, by the way. Good friend of mine. Love Mark Cunningham. Everyone's my friend, but I love Mark Cunningham. Thanks for reaching out to me, Mark, too, yesterday. I appreciated that. Oh, the $300 story. Yeah, the $300 story was my third or fourth fundraiser. Was like it was like my lowest viewed fundraiser that I think I did by myself. And I think it was my shortest one too. And it only got 300. And I had like a momentary epiphany, like maybe I'm failing. Maybe I'm not doing a good enough job. And should I continue? I had like a quick moment. And then I just deferred back to how I live life, which is just to keep pushing forward and not because in basketball, we would lose games and you just have to come back again and play again. So I just said, don't worry, 300, it's like, I ran into Half Hammer and he said to me yesterday, because we talked about it, and he's like, man, you still raised $300 for her that day. You still raised $300 for her that day. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I always remembered my ultimate attitude, which is even so much as $5 is more than enough. Every dollar matters. And I shook that off quick and just said, just keep moving forward. And I just said, what I hope to do is just to keep doing them. And then one day the story would catch fire on its own. And then the roads would diverge. And then once the Steve Fitzsimmons security footage came out, me and Common Sense Investigators fundraisers broke records right after that. You guys came in and donated Kelsey that cash. It was all you guys. You know what I mean? Once you guys heard that story, you're like, donating. Oh, Melanie arrived via Melanie. That's cool. And was Melanie live tonight? I didn't see if she was live today, but yeah, she's great. Love her to death. She's one of the great legal analysts on YouTube. Her, Betero, obviously, two of the best, and many others. Brother Counsel has been fantastic through all of this. Linda Biden, obviously, her number, Linda Baden. Give me a shout out tonight on Justice Served, and a shout out to Linda as well and Michael Bryant. Both of them have been, Justice Served has done incredible coverage. What I like about their show is like the studio and field reporting all at the same time. You got Linda in the studio, you got Mike out on the scene, with the microphone. Yeah, Melanie was one of the lead people. Melanie was among the first. Melanie typically, she's so on top of these cases that more often than not, most people are going to hear about that case first. I don't think there'll ever be a case that I follow that Melanie probably hasn't covered a few times on her show, including Kelsey. Because Melanie's just, she finds these stories, she talks about them, she goes over them, she's extremely thorough. She was so generous to me recently and all of us. She came to our fundraiser, the last one I did, dedicated some of her time, donated her time to us. And, again, my channel is not a big channel. It's not a big channel. It's not a massive channel. It's not a channel that's frequent. Melanie is one of the, her channel's got viewership, her channel's got followers, and she's got the great mind, the great following. Melanie's done a fantastic job. And, Melanie coming on my show is huge for me, just because, we know of each other. She's always been great to me. Love her to death. I've always been good to her as well. And it was great to get her presence on this show, even if just for an hour or hour and a half, whatever it was. And it boosted the fundraiser. That's the purpose of a fundraiser, is you get other people on your show. And when you have other people on your show, they bring in a larger audience, and the larger audience brings in larger money for the fundraiser. We'll see that again tomorrow with Glare. You bring in, Glare already has a great sized audience, but you bring in other creators, it brings in a larger audience. It raises the funds, and that's why the group fundraisers are the best, because you're gonna in Baker, Broken Baker. I think I had you on a fundraiser. I met you at the court, but I met you. I saw you at fundraisers, but I met you at the court. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, big old dog. But yeah, anything like self-doubt, that's always going to happen. Mazza, you are the man. K-Mac 5, touching knees with Noonan at the verdict. I love to see it. Thanks for all you did to bring awareness and support. Thank you so much, K-Mac 5. I appreciate the kind words there. Thank you so much for that. Melanie Little was going in July. Yeah, she went in July. I didn't start till September. I didn't start till around September 8th. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I was a few months later. Oh, yes. I met Melanie once. I met her at the fundraiser in the fall of 2024. That is correct. Yep, I met Melanie. Melanie, and Nurse Kim took a group photo together, which was awesome. And I post that picture every now and then. I'll post that picture. It's two of my. Everyone knows I love Nurse Kim and Melanie Little. No question about it. Fantastic women. Good to see them in there. And like I said, I like Melanie because she is an attorney, but I like Nurse Kim because she brings the medical expertise, which is what we needed. We need a medical person, so Nurse Kim has the charisma. She has the personality. She has the connection with the audience. That's why Nurse Kim's show has soared in popularity and subscribers, because, again, she has the charisma, the way to connect with people. She's kind of like they used to say about Jennifer Lawrence. She's the kind of girl you want to have a drink with and hang out with. You want to have her at your wedding shower, baby showers, and your party if you're, women love her, and for guys, she's cool. Like, she's cool to me. But then she also brings the personality, but I also like the medical expertise. That's why her and Bettero are good together too, because not only because they're both great, but because you have the attorney mind, but then you also have the medical mind. And then when you combine the two, it's like a great storytelling. They can kind of both capture things from different angles, which is great. So, but again, Linda and Justice Serve gave me a shout out. Michael mentioned my height, which was funny, which was great. So I was happy to get some, just a little bit of a shout out from them. They're a channel I've admired for a long time. I usually watch them at least for like a half an hour, a couple of times a week. Usually I'll tune in usually I'm in a show for about a half an hour tops. I usually bounce around a lot or make dinner or have to go someplace. But yeah, I was happy to see that. Linda's done a great job. Again, another legal mind. And Michael Bryant, just again, someone that is like, he's your classic reporter, but he has the legal mind, knowledge as well. When you hear Michael Bryant asking the questions, Michael Bryant, in a lot of those post court hearing and trial press conferences, Michael's typically asking the best questions. He's typically asking the top tier questions among everybody else, and he's going out there, he's getting interviews. He got an interview with a few people outside of court yesterday. He has very very well thought out questions that are very smart, direct to the point. Bradle gives them a good answer. You know, all that happens, which is good. So appreciated their show. Thankful for the shout out. I made a quick appearance on their show yesterday. I kind of waved to the camera and said hello to Linda. And that. So yeah, so I was happy for that. Yeah, again, getting back to Kelsey, it was great to meet her. I was so happy to meet her. She was, you know, she had a look in her face where it's like, you know, you can just see the gratefulness. There's just there's no words to describe it. There's no words. And, you know, I don't think we even talked that much. We were just like, she just said, thank you. And I'm like, glad we could help. And we're going to still fight for you. And, you know, we're going to keep this going. Obviously it's family court time. You know, it takes the full, front and center stage now. You know, all that good stuff. So one sec, quick drink. Yep, brother counsel, as I mentioned, he came on the show for a fundraiser. Privileged to have him on. Every guest is a privilege. Every guest is a privilege. It doesn't matter if there's someone with the highest of followers or the lowest. Every guest is a privilege to me, for sure. And you know, I'm so honored to have people on this show that can help out. You know, and again, to me, you know, it's an educational experience as well. I've learned a lot about the law over the years. This stuff has really taught me a lot. I'm much more confident and competent these days. I have just learned a lot, you know, and Bettero's taught me a lot. I've told Bettero that much several times over the past. He's just kept me educated, upgraded my knowledge, you know, so I'm so grateful for the people that I've met. I was not someone that was a true crime person going into Karen Reed. I was just someone that was outspoken and had a YouTube show and decided to talk about it. So I'm thankful for these people. These people are great people. Now, everyone's a great person. I'm just so thankful for everything everybody's done. But yeah, it was a moment meeting Kelsey for sure. Again, I didn't expect that. I was like, oh, hey, Kelsey, you know, and it was a moment, and it's good. You know, it's good that we can support her and help her through these times, and she's got a fight that continues on. Now, after that, I think it was about 10:30, 10:15, 10:30. And after that, we had to wait. Now, Judge Karp, as you remember, and Broken Baker, we love Broken Baker. Love that guy to death. Our man from Denmark, that's for sure. Love that guy. Hope to see him on the fundraiser tomorrow, too. I'm sure I'll be there. The collecting my thoughts, sorry. The time in between the closing arguments and the verdict were interesting. So I'm going to go over this in detail for you now. So many of us did not have lunch. Some people did, some people. I did not. I know Bettero didn't. I know a few members of the family may not have. I don't even know I don't know who did and who didn't. But I didn't see a lot of people eating. Maybe they snuck out. I don't know. So a lot of us just hung out outside the courtroom. We literally, some people might have gone outside for a bit. Most of us were literally in the courthouse on the second floor, outside the courtroom, scattered around in the elevator shaft, hallway. There were seats around there. You know, all those people were, you know, hanging out. We just kind of hung out. It was kind of like a, you know, like it was said to me, it was kind of like a reception without the refreshments, without the celery and carrots and finger sandwiches and drinks, you know? So we waited from like 10:30 to 2. I took a quick walk outside for a bit, hung out with Lori Mullen for a little bit, talked to her. We were kind of recapping our thoughts quite a bit. So I reached out to her. You know, we snapped a few photos here and there, me and some people, which was fun. Met a few people. And I got to meet Kelsey's dad. I had met Kelsey's dad first thing in the morning. Very gracious to me, very outgoing. We had some good conversations, but we got to talking. I'm not going to share the details of that conversation, obviously, but I'll just say this. I like the guy. I like the guy a lot. I was like, this guy's awesome. I was like, I like this guy. I'm like, he was kind of, filling my water here. He was kind of awesome. Like he was like your, you know, like your regular dude. He was just kind of like, you know, he's awesome. He's kind of a badass, you know, like he's really badass, which I liked. And, you know, he kind of just shoots the breeze with you, which is my kind of person. I like people just kind of like cool and shoot the breeze. And, you know, you know, he's an awesome guy. So I'm not going to lie. We talked for a long time. It was cool. So we caught up and, you know, we talked about some things and, you know, shared some things with me. I talked about, you know, like my mission, our mission, what we've done, what we've accomplished, all that stuff. You know, security guy, obviously, that basically, I mean, his videos, I mean, look, we've done fundraising for Kelsey, but let's be honest. Let's not act like the videos he had didn't hyperdrive these fundraisers we did. After that video got out, those fundraisers were like launched on rocket ships. So he was a cool guy. I liked him a lot. You know, you're just like Mr. Reed, you know, a passionate father who loves his daughter dearly. You know, that there's no question about that man cares about his daughter absolutely dearly. He's a passionate father, you know, and has the mind that is definitely accurate with how a father should feel about all of this. You know, he's an awesome dude, to say the least. I had nothing but great things to say about that man, and definitely enjoyed talking with him yesterday. It was great to catch up. He had good words for me, obviously. I was expressed his gratitude and all that. That was good. Talk with some other people. I caught up with Mark Betterow, Lori Mullen for a bit. Emily C. I actually talked to at one point. Ran into the Law Girls for a bit. Talked to I call him Kai Maverick. I call him KY Maverick. You know, talked to him for a bit as well. So caught up with a few people. I met Kelsey's mom briefly. Kelsey's mom was very focused, very locked in. I think she was just very locked in on. I mean, this is her daughter. Her daughter's been through a lot, and you know, this is a big day. This is, I mean, look, there's a lot of implications of the verdict coming up later that day. There was poise, but there was kind of the pregame, kind of before you play a sports game. Your adrenaline's pumping. You know, your adrenaline's pumping a bit. You know, this is her daughter. Her daughter's been through a lot. U.S. Lily 80 writes, thank you for the super chat. Your pure soul inspires others simply by being authentic and kind. This community continues to prove that united, we can make a difference. Mazza, enjoy this moment. It's well-deserved. U.S. Lily, thank you so much. I know you've been supporting Kelsey for a long time as well. Thank you so much for your super chat today. I greatly appreciate that, U.S. Lily. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, so, you know, she was very busy. Get to meet her briefly. And the defense team was off by themselves. They were getting prepared, obviously, for things, or maybe just shooting the breeze, whatever. But they were off by themselves. Typical, that's what the defense team, Karen Reed, did too. They were off by themselves. It's just, it's war room time. It's family and defense team time. A lot. So a lot of them were by themselves, of course, as you'd expect, and that's good. That's what you want. You want to kind of just have your isolation and all that, and they were very friendly. Everyone was friendly with everybody, obviously. Kelsey and the whole family were gracious, but you have that lockdown time. The Reed family, the same thing. The defense team, same thing. It was the lockdown time, which is great. That's what you want to do. Tim was very focused. Lockdown is a mission to accomplish here. It's a big day. These people have fought their asses off for this, and they'll be damned if Kelsey's going to have a guilty verdict. And it was great to see their level of focus, determination. Her mother, again, just a great woman. And what little I got to see her in person and meet her, a tremendous woman, another mother that cares for her daughter as much as any woman on the face of this earth. I once told my own dad, I said, look, I can't ever say you're the greatest father in the world, because that would be the most biased thing I could ever say, because I'm more than sure that other people have great parents too. But what I can say is that I have the greatest dad that I could possibly ask for. And I once told my dad that. He said, I appreciate your honesty. I'm sorry. I can't call you the greatest dad in the world, because that's like the most biased thing. Because you're my dad. How do I know if you're the best dad or not? So he was laughing. And I'm like, but you are the best dad I could ask for. I would have no other dad, but I just feel if I say you're the best dad in the world, well, everybody else has dads, and everyone's going to say, well, their dad's the best dad, unless they hate their dad. Okay. But it'd be bias. but we saw it, the Reed family and Kelsey's parents, Will, Lauren, stepfather Will, and Steve, great parents. These people care about her deeply, passionately. My dad said to me, he goes, yeah, I appreciate the honesty. He goes, you're right. He goes, it would be biased if you said I was the greatest dad because I'm your dad. I go, but like I said, it doesn't mean you're not the greatest dad I could ask for. It's just funny. But yeah, I'm so hey, it's Jess Machado in the house. Jess Machado's here. What's going on, Jess? Hope you're doing well. Great to see you yesterday. Jess is, again, just someone that's giving great coverage of this, doing great things, photographs, pictures, live writing, live coverage. Jess kind of does it all. She'll do the photos, the article writing. She'll do the live videos, everything. She does a lot. So a lot of people out here with content channels that are, bringing their talents, their abilities, what they like to do. Like you see with Justice Served, other channels, they bring what they like to do, what their abilities are, and they implement that into their coverage, which is very great. Now, I heard she asked a question of Noonan. Mr. Noonan, do you still think that Kelsey's a whack job? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was caught on tape. I'll have to go back and check if that was actually caught on tape. But that was, I read the quote online. I had a good laugh because I know Jess would definitely be one to just come out and ask that question without any hesitation. That's for sure. That was funny to read. But yes, I was happy to see everybody. And again, the more content creators, the better. The more content creators you have, the more amplification you get to the story. And there's a lot of people that may watch Jess's show and not mine, or my show, not hers, or somebody else's show and not ours, or maybe one of ours and theirs. So there's not every person watches every show. They may only watch like maybe 3 to 6 different shows. So the more shows that cover it, that's the higher chance that someone watching that show could learn about the case. That's why it's always important to see as many shows out there as you see, to ensure the most coverage, to ensure that the most people hear about this story. That's why it's so important too for local media to cover it, even though we don't always like local media, or we don't feel that their coverage is good enough. It is good to see them covered because a lot of people might not necessarily learn about it through the online, through X, YouTube, Facebook, etc. They might learn about it through their local network, then search for it online, then find these channels. So that's why sometimes we want to see the local coverage too, because it amplifies the coverage of the story, which amplifies supporters, which amplifies fundraising. So that's all very important stuff. So yes, it was great to meet the family. I got to meet Will Page, spoke with him. He was on Justice Served tonight. He had a fantastic interview, really gave his feelings. Now that the whole trial is over, they can start to speak a little freely, appear on shows, which is great. Happy to see him there. And Justice Served was a fantastic show to be on with Linda and Mike. And I'd like to see them on other shows too. Hopefully, we'll see. Love to see that. Hoping to see Kelsey on a few shows. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping she'll be able to join a few shows. Maybe, I'm not sure if she'll have to wait till after family court. If she can do it now, we'll see. But definitely love to see her. I know Aiden had reached out to her, and they might be doing something there, which would be great to see. Would love to see that interview. Kelsey just conducting an interview and all that. But we're not sure what her restriction might be until family court's over. We'll see. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But yeah, it would be great to see Kelsey on a YouTube show. A couple interviews there would be fantastic. But yes, I got to meet Will. Will's a great guy. Again, I can't express enough how much gratitude Kelsey, her parents, Will, they all have for everybody. That much is certain. They definitely care about everybody. They're definitely, like the Reed family, very pleased with the support. And it's a big thing. What we're all doing for them is a big thing. We're coming together to support them, help them out, put them in a great position to succeed. And the worst thing for these people is not to have the financial support. The financial support is one of the biggest things we can do. And anybody that's doing a fundraiser, anybody that's just simply raising awareness, sharing, like whatever you're doing, that's fine. And just to this too, like I should be first. I'm fine with other shows having, I'm not going to position myself to be first. I'll just, at some point I'll have her on. It doesn't matter if I'm the 5th person or the 10th. I'm perfectly fine. You know, I'll reach out, or maybe she'll reach out. I don't know. But I'll coordinate that down the road. But if she's on like 5 or 6 or 7 shows before mine, it doesn't, I'm not, I appreciate that. Thank you. But you know, whatever's fine. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not concerned about being the first. It just, I'm happy to see her. I'm hoping everyone will have an opportunity. Of course, is my honest opinion. But yeah, it'd be great to have her on this show at some point. Sure. No question about it. But yes, the family is gracious. So yes, I get to meet a lot of people, meet the family. And now let's talk about the second half of the day here. So let's talk about the time leading up to the verdict. So we got news that it was going to be 1:30. So I think it was about 12:30ish. I think it was maybe 12:45, somewhere around there. We got word that it was going to be 1:30. Yeah, I think it was around 12:30. That's right, because I think it was an hour before. So we lined up, and then we thought the doors were going to open at 1, but they didn't open until after 1:30. I think that's what the timeline was. So we all lined up around 12. I think that's right. I think it was 12:30. It was around 12:30. We lined up, and the officers were upstairs. They were in this upstairs room. They were all up there. And then they started, some of them started to come down. Then some of them went back up. So originally it was 1:30. So I put out, you know, and I saw Jess and Aiden, I think, also did this. Everybody put out the 1:30 alerts. So I put mine out. A couple other people put their 1:30 alerts out. And I went into Melanie's chat because I knew Melanie was live, obviously. And I knew there were a lot of people. So I'm like, let me just get this news out. So I just kept like spamming the chat every like 2 minutes with like 1:30 verdict. And the people were like, is it 1:30? I'm hearing 1:30. Mazza just posted 1:30. Turtleboy posted 1:30. I just kept like flashing it out because I wanted this news to spread, because it was internal news. To my understanding, it was internal news that hadn't circulated outwards. So really, like I said, the other content creators, the people that were covering, reporters or whatnot, were the very first to get that out there, to my understanding. So I just kept putting it out there for Melanie and her chat to kind of get that pumping in the chat a little bit. And then what we found out was it was after 1 o'clock. And then we found out it was 2. So originally the day before, as you know, Judge Karp intended for a 2 o'clock earliest verdict, potentially going into Friday. Then we heard 1:30. Then it got scaled back to 2. The court officers were very nice here. I thought I had a great experience or a great impression of them from what I saw that day. So the head court officer finally came down and he kind of just enforced like the environment. So he was outside the courtroom door and the court officer basically just kind of made an announcement for all of us to hear. And he said, here's what's going to happen. This is how it's going to be. You know, obviously it was in the morning, we all just kind of strolled in. Now, 2 things. More cops were there in the afternoon. Also, more Kelsey Fitzsimmons supporters were also there in the afternoon as well. So it was a lot more people. So now all of a sudden, all the people that were there in the morning may not actually get a seat. Now, it appears to me mostly everybody, maybe upwards of 98% of the people there got in. I know there were a few ladies outside waving in the door and celebrating after the verdict. But we had, you know, we had to wait. And then the court officer basically let us all know. He goes, what's going to happen here is the witnesses, the family, friends of the family, whomever that are actually involved with the case, they're going to get in first. Then after that, there's going to be a normal matriculation of people going into the courtroom. So the officers, the primary officers were lined up from the left going in. And then from the right going in, Steve, the father of Kelsey, lined up, you know, the family members and the sisters, whoever, maybe cousins, maybe some close friends, perhaps, I don't know. And they all lined up and they all kind of went in and they, you know, Steve had to like point out, like, this is a brother, this is a member, this is family, to make sure nobody was getting in that wasn't with that group. So they let them in. There were some complaints, as someone's saying here, about that. But I guess whatever. I didn't have an issue with it. Maybe some might have. I understand. I completely understand everybody's perspective on that. No problem. And then I kind of waited, let some people go in. And then I thought, I got to the point where I'm like, am I even going to get in? I better get in now. People were like, Mazza, get the heck in there. Get the heck in. I'm like, okay, I'll go. So I got in. And then by the time I got in there, what I did like about the new layout was it just seemed like at least to me, the cops and the Kelsey Fitzsimmons side and family were kind of better layered this time around, as opposed to the morning where it was kind of like, I'm sitting right next to a cop. You're here for Noonan. I'm here for Kelsey. Let's be friends. No, I'm just kidding. Do we just become best friends? No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was kind of like, So what happened to me was I was going to the deep side that I had been on the first time. Now, I had sat behind Noonan in the morning. And then the seat I had, Lauren Katie from Common Sense Investigator got the same seat both times. And so when I walked in, I think KY Maverick had taken a back seat somewhere. So his seat was open. And I let a few other people go by and pick some seats that I said, basically, pick the seat you want. I'll sit wherever. And then people were like, no, Mazza, you got to sit in that front seat. So, okay, cool, I will. So I sat in the front seat. And I sit down, and I'm like, as soon as I sit down. So my seat, so the courtroom, let's say this, the courtroom's to my right. The back of the courtroom's here, where the judges and where the prosecutors are to the right. My seat is facing towards the entry door, which is facing towards the front row, or better row, and all of them were. And of course, Officer Noonan is smack dab in front of me. I could have sang Neil Diamond to him, saying, reaching out, touching you. No, just kidding. I was literally an arm length away from Noonan. So I'm literally, my seat is right here, and it's facing Noonan, who's facing the front of the court. And I'm like, and I know from the morning that they got him on camera. I said, I'm going to be on camera at some point. There's probably going to be a shot that's surfacing of me with Noonan. Now, the problem becomes this, is that the court officer that wasn't there in the morning is actually there in the afternoon. This is the head court officer, I believe. And he's standing right in front of the camera in front of me. So when you see the video at the end, he steps away, and then I appear, and I'm like, kind of like that. So I'm right next to Noonan. I mean, when I'm reaching out and touching this screen right now, he is literally arm lengths away. And if I look just to the right, there's the table. And Lauren's right next to me from Common Sense Investigator. It was very fitting we sat next to each other, because me and her have alternated with our fundraisers, which was very fitting. And I'm an arm length away from this guy. And I'm like, this is rich. This is really rich right now. I'm like, I'm literally sitting next to Noonan, and that verdict's going to be read, and it's going to be not guilty. And at some point, that camera is going to zoom. I just knew it. And sure enough, I went online afterwards, and they caught me smirking. I actually think I was smirking a lot more before the officer moved, so I would have captured it more. But it was funny. It just was. I'm like, fate as it would have it. I'm like, is going to have me sit here. Are you kidding me right now? And I don't even know if the guy knows who the hell I am. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if this guy is like eventually one day just going to find me out and be like, you're going down. I don't know. I'm joking, but I just don't know what the guy knows. He probably doesn't know who the hell I am anyways. He probably doesn't watch these YouTube shows, but all of us looking at it are like, there's Mazza right next to Officer Noonan. I was inside. I was laughing. Now, when I got in the courtroom, was I nervous at all? No, I was not nervous at all about anything. I sat there with a smirk on my face for about 30 minutes while we waited for that judge to come in. And I was calm, and I was cool. I was looking at everyone else. I was looking around at other people, and I was making eye contact with some people I know. I got to meet Rami, who follows the show, was in court. I got to meet her. There were some familiar faces. Cheech was there. A lot of other familiar faces from the Karen Reed case that are Kelsey Fitzsimmons, carryovers. Karen Reed carryovers, and the Kelsey, we're all carryovers. It's a carryover show. We're all Karen Reed people that have also become Kelsey supporters. And we're all kind of sitting there, and we're all kind of, I guess some people were a little bit like that. Some people were like me that were blah, blah, blah. So me and Lauren Katie were kind of, whispering back and forth. I was whispering with some other people as well. And everyone's asking me, where's Betterow? Where's Betterow? So there was a Betterow crisis just before the verdict. So before the verdict, Betterow's nowhere to be found. And everyone's looking at me every now and then. Mazza, where's Betterow? Mazza, where's Betterow? Where's Betterow? Like, I don't know. So actually, I did know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I did know. But I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't say I didn't know. My mistake, misquote. I was like, the secret was Betterow. He was hanging out with Bradel and folks. Okay, they got Betterow in there with him. Betterow was hanging out with the defense team, which is the most Betterow thing ever. And I absolutely adore that man. I love Betterow, love Bradel, love all of them. Betterow was in there and hanging out with them, which was cool. So Betterow, all the seats are filled. Betterow doesn't have a seat. And we're at capacity. And then the court officer comes over, puts a chair down. Betterow comes in, gets an end seat, and he's good to go. Betterow gets his own comfortable padded seat, and he's good to go. So we got Betterow in there just at the last time. We got him a chair. He was good to go. And we're like, okay, everyone's like, okay, Betterow's here. Oh, it was great. It was great. And then a court officer made a joke to Betterow out loud for all to hear. He goes, just make sure everyone, when you leave, not to trip over this man's foot, referring to Betterow. Everybody knows Betterow just bursted out in laughter in the courtroom. It was just the funniest thing. We all love Betterow. And I think Aiden said, Betterow's the family schmoozer. He's always like, he's getting close to, he knows the family. He's always, but that's great. Like, that's so awesome. That's what I love about Betterow so much, is that he not only, like as someone as a family member, right? Like a Reed family member, like, Janet Reed, Bill Reed, the Fitzsimmons family. Like, he sat with Steve Fitzsimmons in the morning, then Will Page in the afternoon. Like, what's so great for the family is when he sits with them, he's giving them legal counsel on the spot. He's telling them, like, this is what's going to happen. Then they're going to do this. This is what's probably going to, that's why it's so great to have Betterow on this. This is what I love this guy. Okay. He is the man, because if you're someone like, Karen's parents, or if you're Karen's parents, or if you're Kelsey's parents, you can't really speak to the attorneys when court's in session. So what's great about when Betterow attends, when he first sat with the Reed family, he's sitting right up front with Bill, so he can just kind of say, hey, this is, this is that, this is what this means, this is probably, he can kind of give them that one-on-one, like, family, counsel, legally counsel the family, which is great. And from my understanding, he did that all day with Steve in the morning and Will in the afternoon, which is great. He can also give them his live reaction. Like, this was said, this is a good thing. What he said, by the way, don't worry about that. That won't fly. Like, he might say things like that. Mullen Law as well was fantastic throughout all of this. Pleasure to meet. I was very flattered, very privileged to have the opportunity to meet her. She was fantastic. She brought a lot to our shows. Being a family court attorney, her and Betterow together on this show, that was a great duo. But yeah, Betterow sitting with the families. It's good because, the families need to be comforted. A lot of these families, we all don't know. None of us know the ins and outs about the law. We might know some things, but someone like Betterow, I mean, this is a guy that's a professional. He's a New York attorney. This is a guy that works with Bradel in the Turtle Boy case. He's also worked to some degree with Karen Reed's attorneys. This guy is extremely well respected. He's one of the top legal minds you're going to find on YouTube. So I like that. I like how they keep a seat for him next to the family. He can give them, again, that legal comfort through his knowledge and wisdom and live reaction to everything that's happening. And he's just a tremendous gift. We're so privileged as supporters to have someone like him in our midst. And I say that with no level of, this is not a kiss up the Betterow. This is just a sincere telling of who this guy is. I mean, this guy is giving of his time, makes his way out there, made an appearance at Karen's trials, makes an appearance at Kelsey's trial. Me and him said on the way out, we said, where everybody left, we were leaving, and me and him were walking together, and I said, I think we picked a good day to come. And he says, yeah, you got it. You definitely got it. But Betterow was great. Again, awesome guy. Absolutely fantastic. Just good to see him there. No question about it. And just loved his presence that he brought to this whole thing today. And for him being on the show this week every day was fantastic. Yeah, exactly. You know, people were saying that too to me in person, that they just loved the show. You know, it was 3 days of shows. For me, it was personally exhausting. 3 shows in a row that long on top of work days. But Monday, I just said, look, we're going all the way this week. We're just pushing. And then Friday, if this thing's over, if Friday comes and everything's over, you can just sleep all day and rest on the couch all day. And that's exactly what I did. It took me till 5 o'clock to recharge my batteries. And I just said, look, I'm just going to push all week. Let's get some shows together. Let's get panels. Let's get live reaction to trial. It's not like it's a 2 or 3 week trial. I don't have to do this for 3 weeks. You know, I'll just do 3 shows in a row. Bing, bang, boom, done. And then we're on to the verdict. And the verdict day, I'm just not going to do any, you know, night show. And I was exhausted last night. I laid down last night and it was gone. Next thing I know, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, _S. But yeah, it was a great day. So the verdict comes, you know, the presentation comes. Obviously, I'm seated right next to Noonan. And again, Noonan is stoic. Him and his wife are holding hands, you know, as you'd expect out of a married couple, obviously. You know, and he's sitting there. And what kind of came to my mind was, what kind of outcome does he have in this? I mean, ultimately, it's, you know, could affect the civil suits perhaps against the police department. But I don't expect him to get charged. You know, but, you know, my email is MazzaMedia@yahoo.com. That's MazzaMedia@yahoo.com. Thank you, JJF71. Scott McGinnis was there. Scott, I'm sorry, Scott, I did not catch up with you afterwards. I am so sorry. I caught up with you during the break, but I did not catch up with you afterwards. I'm so sorry about that. There was so much just going on, and then people are all over the place. I apologize for that, Scott. We'll catch up again at some point, sir. Thank you for being out there. And Scott, he doesn't look to go in the courtroom at all. He stays outside with the signs and everything, and make sure he's raising awareness outside. The guy is the epitome and the poster man for boots on the ground, to say the least. There's no question Scott McGinnis is one of the biggest justice advocates that you're going to find in this entire country. This guy cares about these stories. He's active in these chats. And Scott, thank you for being out there, decked out in purple. Thank you, sir, for your time out there. You spend your own money on gas. You travel a solid ways to be there, and you're dedicated, man. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point, May. That's a good point. So, yeah, boots on the ground, daddy. So yeah, I was right next to Noonan, as you guys saw. So the verdicts were released. Now, me and Lauren were kind of talking back and forth, and I said to her, I go, "This is going to be a not guilty. There's no question about it." And Lauren said, "I'm absolutely confident in not guilty. There's no question." So, you know, we kind of said that. Then we were commenting some smaller things in the courtroom that were happening moment to moment. Nothing I can really recall. More court officers were obviously in there in the afternoon when a verdict's read, of course. The court officer presence is going to go from a standard amount to an escalated amount. There's not going to be, you know, because there could be a potential action. You know, obviously, but they had about 3 in the morning, I think. I think there was about 6 in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 maybe. So they came, you know, Judge Karp came in, you know, all rise and all please be seated. And then Karp kind of, as you saw, he was like, well, this is a tough one to rule on. And honestly, one of the toughest ones I've had to rule on in a while, and the way it's going. But as soon as he said that, I'm like, there's no way, like right then and there when he said it, there's no way a judge is going to say it was tough to rule on unless if there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt, it would not be tough to rule on. That's the bottom line. So when he just said simply, this was tough to rule on, that was the game, right? It was already over. Once he made that comment, it was over. He may as well have just said not guilty right there. Ladies and gentlemen, it was game over right then and there. And thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, sir. I think the thing with me is I couldn't get time off. Well, I could get time off, but I had things I wanted to get done, and I was kind of a lot of things I wanted to get done this week, and I'm like, Thursday's going to be my day, the earliest, and there was a lot of concern it was going to end on Wednesday at the beginning of the week, and me and Betero were both going to be Thursday arrivals, so I'm happy me and Betero both got to be there for this. That was, yeah, Bradel too, whether or not he was nervous or not, this man has invested so much of his time. And not only that, just his passion for the people he defends is second to none. But yeah, absolutely. This is a big investment for these people, and I'm so proud of everything they've done. Total team effort. You had Martha Coakley as well. So yes, the verdict was read. You heard it. And then he basically got to the point where he said, like, no one should judge the cops. I disagree. But I was happy he said one thing, which was the body cam. I was happy with a lot of things he said, but I was happy about the body cam thing. Had there been body cams, this would have been a more thorough case to cover, verdict to rule on, which was a very honest statement. And he's right. I think, in a way, whether it was intended or not, that's really a slap in the face of the North Andover Police Department for not having body cams, which I think is an important piece of information here, is that they did not have body cams, which is a major problem, because body cams would have told you everything. Would have had Kelsey clearly on camera, showed exactly what happened, and it's game over. Either Kelsey did what you said or Kelsey did what she said, and that's it. And Kelsey's testimony was unbelievable, and it's hard not to believe her. It's hard not to believe in her. It was hard not to believe in her story, just like the Karen Reed story. I only believed in Karen more as time went on, and I only believed in Kelsey more as I went on. And criticizing public officials is fair game. I agree. It's our right to do so. These are taxpayers. We pay taxes for our state police and others. We have politicians we vote for. We have the right to do so. And I think in the judge's mind, he kind of framed it like, well, this is an actual, this is an actual, look, I just think this guy screwed up and lied about it. I'm just going to be brutally honest about what I feel about this Noonan. I just think this guy jumped the gun. No pun intended with that. No joke intended. I just literally think this guy overreacted. And Bradel said that too. I just think that guy walked in the room, misread the situation. Oh my God. And then just, that's why I always thought that first bullet missed. Because the first bullet missing tells me he rushed to fire, then corrected, then connected. That's why, because when we didn't know that, I was convinced the first shot missed. I got to sneeze 1 second. Okay, back on. I knew it. I'm like, I bet you any money he noticed what was going on, and he didn't take the time because it was a rush. Because again, and I'm not trying to give him justification, but I feel like his mind didn't have time to compute what she was actually doing. And then he just, oh my God, and then that's why the first one missed. And the first one missing always told me he rushed. And him rushing tells me he didn't fully grasp the situation, meaning he could not clearly tell whether he knows it or not, whether he believes what he believes, or whether or not, like, two arguments. Noonan either actually believes what he said, like he's convinced it, or he knows what he did and doesn't want to admit it. Those are the only two options here, and any one of them is in play. I like to think more than one theory is possible, but I think both are in play. Which one it's either one of the two, and it's up to us to believe what we want to believe. So like I said, this guy either absolutely believes that's what happened, or he knows what he did. Oh my God, I bleeped up and we need to cover this thing up. That's it. Those are the two things right there. But one thing we know for sure is we know what Kelsey knows what she did. And Kelsey explained her intentions thoroughly in great detail with a wonderful walkthrough of exactly what her frame of mind was. And then she ultimately was able to say things that I felt computed with the overall picture. You know what I mean? That's how I look at that, is that Kelsey's story is really the only story that matters here. Because whether or not Noonan thought what he thought doesn't matter. It only really matters what Kelsey did and what Kelsey thought. And if Kelsey says that's her story, and she presents that on a stand in a manner that is convincing, then that's the only testimony you really need. Noonan, like I said, it doesn't matter if Noonan actually misgauged the situation. It doesn't matter if he knows he misgauged, whether or not it doesn't matter if he misgauged it and didn't know. And it doesn't matter if he misgauged and did know. Ultimately, what he did was not justified and was a rush to judgment, whether he knew it during, before, or after or not. And the only testimony that matters is Kelsey's testimony. And when we saw Kelsey's testimony, I saw the conviction in her. When I hugged her, when I saw the look in her eyes when she saw me for the first time and the gratitude, there is no question. This is a woman that was absolutely on the side of good the entire time, including in her relationship with this ex-fiance. And I still got to watch the Microdots video. There's no question about it, and including that footage that released of him saying some things to her. There's no question that Kelsey Fitzsimmons is the good in all of this. And her story was correct from the start. And I'll say one thing, it can be difficult when people, I'm not trying to do like I'm a content creator bolster, but I'll say one thing. When I do a show, we do shows on this stuff. Even when we tweet about it, whether we have a show on YouTube or not, we're putting our beliefs on the line. If I'm coming out and I'm saying Kelsey Fitzsimmons is innocent, and I'm still in a stage of not knowing all the details, but my initial inclination's telling me she's innocent, there's a degree of risk. What if I was wrong completely? What if I had eventually found out 2 or 3 months in? What if I had done 10 fundraisers and suddenly we find out, well, new evidence has come out that in the text messages, the video is released, and this shows, all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I was wrong about it. That's always a risk. That's always a risk, and I always learn and I always relearn. And then I relearn again. Like, you guys remember the show I did a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday. I took 5 hours and I went through all the details and I just kept learning and learning, and learning is relearning. Learning is relearning, and I just said, I know I'm right, but I always want to know more. And it was the same thing with Karen Reed's case. I just learned more as I went on. And the more I learned, the more I was always 100% confident in Kelsey Fitzsimmons. However, I must make sure that I know as much as possible to ensure that I am always as accurate as possible, right? That has to be, like, when you do a show and you come on and you say Karen's innocent, Kelsey's innocent, you have to know what you're talking about. And the fact is, we all did not know all the facts. But with me, when I read these stories and see these stories, there's certain things I notice that mentally tip me off to say, this is why I think Karen's innocent, without necessarily knowing all the things that go down the road. Or this is why I know Kelsey's innocent without knowing all the things down the road. And what I feel great about is that I felt as time went on, while always still believing in Karen, always still believing in Kelsey, I still felt more and more convinced in my belief. So I always believed, I never wavered, but my belief always grew, because as I learned and as we learned, we began to assemble more information in our minds that was more confirming of what we believed. And that's why every time you saw Karen Reed's case, stuff would come out, it would favor Karen. Same thing with Kelsey. Things would come out. Oh, here's a video of a break-in. Here's a video of this. Here's a video of that. Here's video evidence. Here's a new docket that came out that says this and that. Everything would, just like Karen, It was the same thing with Kelsey's story. More information came out, and every single time it favored Kelsey. It was damning to the police department. It was damning to the fire department. It was damning to the ex-fiance. That's what kept happening over and over and over again. And in real time, you started to see more and more people believe in Kelsey because they saw these videos and they saw this information. And for anybody that was like not following it enough, was unsure, was kind of on that borderline, it started to push people over. And that's when you saw the donations start to triculate up, because the story started to get the coverage. But the Steve Fitzsimmons security footage that he got from the 3rd of July amplified the hell out of this. Like I said, we had an $11,000, $12,000 fundraiser a couple days later. That tells you how much that video was worth. When Common Sense Investigator had a record-breaking fundraiser the next week too. Shows you how much that video was worth. You have a Facebook group. They went from what? At one point, I think it was down to like 1,000 people. Then it was 7,000 people, I think a couple weeks ago. Now all of a sudden it's like 17,000 people. It was just 15,000 2 days ago. And now all of a sudden it's up to 17,000. _esque. She says, we don't deserve Mazza. Yes, you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat today. I don't like how YouTube will take the emojis from the phone like that and put them into square boxes. Great comment here by Scott. Nobody believed this crap, including the judge. Great point. Going back to Kathleen McCarthy-Naiman, she was doing so many suspicious things to Kelsey that I was like, this is a blatant. They're doing this woman in is what they're doing. They're taking. Yes, I agree, Emily. And to that point, same thing with Karen too. We just saw the same thing with her, and that's what inspired me about Kelsey, and why I believed in Kelsey from the beginning was just like with Karen. I became a Karen Reed supporter when I read Turtle Boy's article, but he had a video in that article where Karen said the truth will come out. We know the truth. On September 8th, when Kelsey got out of jail, the remark made from her was, the truth, I can't wait for the truth to come out. Something of that nature, she said. I said, there's another Karen Reed right there. This is another woman that's in that circumstance that's similar to Karen Reed that's going to have to fight her way out of this. And that's when I said, okay, what people are telling me about this story, this is an innocent woman. This is another situation where people are piling up here, and they're screwing this lady over. That she was in jail again. She was shot. She's had her baby taken away. This woman's been through fucking hell. Absolute hell. It's disgusting. How can I not cover this? It was the same thing with Karen. How can I not cover that? How can I not cover these stories? Once you learn about, that's the thing. That's what happened with me with Karen Reed. Once you go down that rabbit hole, you see Melanie Little. Melanie Little has been fired up about this for months. She's a mother. She's a daughter. She knows both perspectives. And women here in this chat that have been a mother and a daughter, you have a mother. You've been a mother yourself. You can relate to Kelsey's mom, and you can relate to Kelsey, and you can relate to what happened with the baby. More than anybody on this earth, our mothers out there that have been daughters. Any woman out there can relate to this, and even if you're not a mother, even if you're a father, you can quickly translate that into your perspective. How you'd feel about that set of circumstances. But this is a woman that's been through hell. This woman, you look at Kelsey. She was successful. She went to law school. She went to college, graduated high school. She had a nice rise through the ranks as a security officer. Other things she did on campus police rather. Got a job at North Andover Police Department. This is a woman that was taking a path in life and living her life, just out there every day, like every other person in this state, just like Karen Reed, who was a college professor, doing the same thing, getting up every day, going to work. She was being a mom. She had, like some people have to go through, relationship issues, and it happens. It's just life. It unfortunately it happens, but this situation got far out of hand. And an RO got even worse. the way it was served. This is a woman that at this point, and I appreciated Judge Karp for saying this was a woman that was placed in an unfortunate set of circumstances that had an unfortunate set of results. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, that's why I've always said she's justified in her reaction. You know, whether or not she had attempted suicide or whether or not it was the theory where she was attempting to kill officers, as Noonan testified to, regardless of whomever was right or wrong, let's place it aside for a moment. The North Andover Police Department, the system failed her from the RO being served, and the police department serving that RO absolutely screwed up. I saw Noonan, I saw Daly. Daly was feet away from me outside the court for about an hour yesterday. I saw him, you know, it's, you walked right in her home, right after the door opened. Kelsey testified to the foot of Daly being stuck inside that door. And it's a situation where, you know, you're essentially all but barging in. You're not letting her know why you're there until you're in the home. You're, like I said, postpartum or not, I mean, what mother would not have reacted or felt that way? Maybe the postpartum heightened, you know, the incident, but it's a terrible set of circumstances for her. But the lack of mental preparation, you know, we talked about the mama bear theory a lot. You know, every parent, especially a mother, is hardwired in a way that is historical, meaning every woman that's ever been a mother from the beginning of time, and every woman that's a mother throughout the future, has a built-in set of reaction to protecting their children. You see this in nature. If a bird's nest ever comes under an attack, and it's at a time where the babies are in the nest, but the mother bird is away gathering food, that mother bird will descend upon that nest to flee off the intruder by any means necessary. If a mama bear sees her cubs in danger, that mama bear is going to attack and react viciously to protect their child. Kelsey Fitzsimmons was facing a set of circumstances in which she did not trust her fiance, was facing a situation in which an RO is being served against her to take away her baby, who she did not want with him, and understanding a reality in which she would have to wait 14 days to see her baby again. In all honesty, they are lucky she did not have intent to murder, because a lot of women and a lot of men that identify would probably argue that if that had happened, it would probably be a reaction to be expected. And I'm not trying to justify that would be the right decision. But I am trying to attempt to justify that how the police conducted that situation was absolutely atrocious, absolutely unsatisfactory, and it was carried out horribly. They did not have DCF present. They did not have body cams. They left Kelsey in a one-on-one situation with Noonan, where Noonan was departing the room. They placed Kelsey Fitzsimmons in a situation where suicide was an option. They were informed of where the firearms were located. They were later declared as a lie by Kelsey by her own testimony. But they did not go to the basement to check if the firearms were actually there. And if they had checked to see if the firearms were there, they would have known that it was a lie right then and there, and could have confronted Kelsey to say, Kelsey, the firearms are not in the basement. Where are they? We're not going to move you around the house until you tell us. It is the police officer's duty to protect and serve the community, and also protect themselves. The fact is that the police department failed to protect Kelsey in this situation. They failed to protect the baby in this situation. The officers also failed to protect themselves in this situation, as Officer Noonan found himself in a situation in which he either did by accident or did knowingly jump the gun and fire a bullet, 2 bullets, one hitting an air conditioner, one hitting Kelsey, that nearly killed her. This is a situation that was extremely tragic and extremely out of hand. And it was because of the way these officers conducted themselves. These officers cannot look themselves in the mirror and not know that this is exactly what happened. And if they're going to have to go the rest of their lives, whether they can face it or not, understanding what happened is what happened. They had to control the environment. They did not have the right steps in place, and they allowed this situation to go off the rails. Whatever Kelsey did is because she was placed in a situation that was extremely unfair to her, that caused her to react in a way that is very natural for a woman to react, or any parent that cares about their child to react, feeling boxed in, feeling sabotaged, feeling barraged, feeling screwed over, feeling robbed, and feeling at that particular point that suicide in her life was the best option. Thank you to God for protecting her life and keeping her alive. We have prayed all week and we got the correct result. But what happened could have been completely avoided. There is no reason why Kelsey should have ever had the option to do what she did, and the officers failed to protect her. They should have had someone from DCF, and if determined as struggling from postpartum depression, could have placed her in a set of circumstances that would have protected her for a long enough time to ever have a suicidal thought. It's up to us as people to protect the people around us. Suicide is nothing to joke around about, and it is very scary for the people that are making those particular decisions. And while Kelsey is very good in mind today, and more than certainly good in mind throughout most of her life, at that particular moment, the worst moment of her entire life, that was the decision process that she had. And it was very difficult to see her go through that. And it's very unfortunate that she was not more protected in that situation, that there was not more care provided to someone in her situation that was facing such a set of circumstances. And people like her need to be protected. It's a very difficult situation to be in. And I don't appreciate the fact that those officers served that after the mother had left, and then Kelsey had to call her mother to get back to the house. Having her mother there from the get-go could have also assisted with the situation. While not having DCF present or a female officer present, Kelsey Fitzsimmons' mother being there at the time it was initially served may have actually helped Kelsey out and guided Kelsey. It might have helped her stand with her daughter from the get-go to guide her and help Kelsey manage her reaction to this entire situation. And again, it was a grave injustice was done to Kelsey. I truly believe the system failed her here. This is why I'm so passionate about this story. I just feel like this woman got screwed over. And then on top of it, had to go to jail, got put back in jail, has still not seen her child since June of last year, has not truly had her day in family court in a means that will truly establish why she deserves, at least at the very least, joint custody with her child. I'm sure from her and her family court team, Julie Hess, I'm probably at this point saying, you know what? Fuck joint custody. We're going for sole custody. And quite honestly, if that's what Kelsey and her team are going for, I certainly applaud them for it, especially everything that's happened to Kelsey Fitzsimmons, who was shot by a police officer and nearly killed while her baby was taken away. But if they are going to try to fight for joint custody, if that is an option to them, I certainly applaud them. It's definitely a great decision to make and something to play for. There's no question about that at all. This is a tough situation, but I'll tell you, Kelsey Fitzsimmons would definitely be worthy of sole custody of her child, especially after the fact that she has not seen her child since June of last year. This is why we fight for these people. This is why we all gather together on shows like this and other shows to fight for people like Kelsey that have a difficult road ahead. And financially, you know, in our society, it can be very difficult to pay for these legal bills, and families to gather the funds to raise the money here. This is why it's important for people like ourselves to do what we do, is to not only support, but to donate in any way we can. And if you can't donate, share the link to a fundraiser, share the link to the GiveSendGo, spread it around, spread awareness, and raise money. That's what we can do to help them. Because again, you know, I sat in court yesterday and I thought about it. I'm like, you know, once again, just like I've said, and we've said on the show before, what happens in the courtroom, we have no control over. That's between Kelsey's defense team, the prosecution, the judges, whomever, to work that all out. Same thing with Karen and her defense team, Aiden and his team. That's all between what happens in court. What we can do is we can raise awareness, we can raise funds, we can help these people out, We can shower them with finances. And God bless all you people. I'll tell you, may God bless all you guys for what you've given to this family and given to other people out there that need help. Even your friends that may be having medical matters that need donating to, or funeral expenses that need donating to. You know, you should be proud of yourselves for giving care. You know, the money raised in the show is over $42,000, yes, but that's our $42,000 that we raised together. Our $42,000 raised, and the money raised tomorrow will be our money raised for Kelsey. We'll continue this fight. We're going to back her up financially. We're going to continue on with the fundraisers. Me and Lauren talked about it a little bit, and we've had that conclusion. We're going to continue to do those fundraisers right on through, continue to help out Kelsey Fitzsimmons. After the verdict, we went outside, we celebrated. I shook hands with Steve Fitzsimmons right on the way out. One of us hugged in the hallway. And then Kelsey, I was in the hallway, and, I was kind of a distance away. I was kind of probably in the midway or far side of the hall. Kelsey had, I was talking to some people here and there. I talked to Aiden briefly as well. And then what happened was other people were, one sec, let me get these photos ready. So I had been just standing around. I was kind of, what was happening too was Kelsey's family, defense team, they were all kind of having a moment. Their friends, they were all having a moment. And I just kind of said, I'm just going to stand here, on the opposite side near the stairs. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to make small talk with some people. I'm just going to wait. And, if there's an opportunity to say hello, great. If not, then, that's fine. These people are having a big moment family-wise among themselves. And they are, they're related. They've been through this from the beginning. For me, it's been a story I've followed since September. For them, this has been a story that's been real life for them with real life consequences, and this has been a real life fight. You see it in their families' faces. So I was on the opposite side. So the courtroom is actually behind Kelsey's back, and then you get to go to our left and in the back. So if you look at where my head is and use that as a floor plan, it would basically be in the lower left of this image if it was a floor plan. So I was all the way over here. And I was just like I said, by myself, just kind of waiting around. I was just going to catch up with a few people. I didn't want to walk out right away. I just wanted to take a moment or two to, see if there was an opportunity to greet anybody. But again, I wanted to let them as a family and friends and defense team have their moment to, just have their celebration, not meddle, not try to get in there for a hug or not. I just kind of stayed over there. So I'm standing around, and out of the blue, I was not expecting this at all. I just happened to look up, and I think I heard, "Hi, Mazza. Hey, Mazza," or something. "Hey, Mazza." I look up, and there's Kelsey walking over to me. Smile on her face, absolute look of gratitude. And I just all of a sudden, like, whoa, there's Kelsey. Like, I thought she was still, with her family, friends, catching up, celebrating with them. And she literally walked 20 feet over just to come over to see me. And then we had a nice embrace there. And she just said, "Thank you for all you've done." And then I just said, "You've earned today's result. You've earned it. You fought hard." And nice hug there, obviously, which was fantastic. Just a good moment. She's been through a lot. I'm grateful to put time in for her as well, to assist her on this case. And in her fight, helping people move along is what is kind of the mission statement here. Is this woman's had her life taken away from her. She's trying to get her life back. And we're trying to give her in our own way, do what we can to, get her back to where she belongs in her life. Get her moving forward again, is what our mission is. You see Michael Bryant taking off there with his big bag of gear. This hug is kind of reflective of all the people that have donated to the fundraiser as well. Without the donations, this is a reflection. And then afterwards, this is actually my favorite picture. It kind of really shows the gratitude in her face there and the gratefulness, and just a really great moment here, of course. And then, again, it looks like she might be saying thank you again. We're conversing a little bit there. and all that. And then moments later, she had gone on to greet other people, and I headed outside, which was great. So again, just a great moment. And it's sometimes interesting when you don't know someone in person. Neither her nor I had ever met or talked really. I don't think so, except for maybe the show. And then you kind of meet this person for the first time. I followed her, she's seen my fundraisers and other supporters, but this woman was completely, like her family, completely gracious to all supporters, completely gracious to other content creators. Not long after this, I think she walked over and hugged Jess Machado, to thank Jess Machado for her support. Thanked a lot of people. This woman was absolutely grateful and just very, very energized, I'd say, by, again, this is a tough situation to face on your own as an individual and with her family and friends. But when you have the backing of a community such as all of us that have been Kelsey Fitzsimmons supporters, it provides a level of energy. It provides a level of hope that you see that people believe in your mission. They believe that you don't have to do this alone, that they believe that you're innocent. And that's powerful for people here. I've never met a family that hasn't been gracious. The Reed family has been gracious. The Fitzsimmons Page family has been extremely gracious as well. And that's what I hope to accomplish, is just, being able to say, I am not happy with what happened to you. I, just feel like you've been done wrong. I intend to assist. We intend to assist. And we're happy that you got the result that we felt that you deserved. Like I said there, you earned it. You earned your result. This woman has been through hell. Just, again, what a reflection of her. Again, this tells me too, again, already believing she's an innocent woman. This tells me again that, this woman it believes in her innocence because she's telling the truth. We know that. But again, yes, I met her sister as well. Yes, I did. I was introduced to her by, I think Will did. Will introduced me, I think. But yes, this is just a great moment for me. It just, I don't often, sometimes you just don't realize the effect you're having on people's lives when you do a show and you're working with people online like yourselves that are contributing to these fundraisers. And it's just a very rewarding feeling. It's a rewarding feeling to see somebody at a point in their life that have had hopelessness at times, that are now finding redemption in their life. They're finding a path back. They're seeing the light shining on dark moments. And that's what's fantastic about this is all that. So I'm happy. I'm happy for her. And for me, this would be I'm not sure what's going on in the chat here. I guess something happened in the chat. I don't know. Sorry. I got thrown off by the chat. Sorry. But this to me, this is like, for me, this is like the moment we've all been working for. And it's great to just see that all play out and her get to move on, seeing the defense team celebrate, the elation on their faces. Courtney Healy was in tears, for goodness sakes. And that's great because that just shows you the great human Courtney Healy is. And Tim Bradle just so happy, proud of her, and they put their efforts into this. So it's great stuff. I'm happy for them. I walked outside. Many people were happy. I got a little cheer from a couple of people, which was funny. Took some pictures. Then we saw the cops that were there at support walk off in absolute defeat. That was hilarious. That was so funny. They all walk out, storming off. Thank you so much, Mary Swampy. Blessings upon you, Mazza. Thank you. Love from Tahas. Am I saying that right? Way to go, Mazza. You're an amazing human. Happy to see Kelsey acquitted. You helped so very much. Thank you very much for that compliment. I do appreciate that. Let me take a look at something. I want to do something for you guys. I got the police video, by the way. The cops walking out. Hold on. You guys want to see this? Video? One sec. Storm out. It was the funniest thing in the world. Some of these are the cops. Most of these were the cops I was with in the morning. Let's see here. Wait for load. Sorry, it's just taking a minute to load here. We're going to play the video of the cops storming out. Oh, sorry, I didn't read this message. Way to go, Mazzy. You're an amazing human being. Happy to see Kelsey acquitted. You helped her so very much. Thank you. Love from Tahas. And thank you for any donations you've made to her as well to contribute to that defense fund. Oh, the video's taking forever to load here. Come on, video. Come on. Yeah, the walk of shame was very enjoyable. Oh, this is taking a while. Oh, there we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so let me. It's going to make me share it once. I might have to download this. Okay, there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, now it's. I don't want to have to share my inbox for people's privacy, my privacy, obviously. So let me just download it. Let me see if I can play this through the downloader. Actually, I might have to upload. Let me see if Lauren uploaded this to X. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Let's see. And oh yeah. That's funny. Let me see if I can share from the player. 1 sec. It does not allow me to do that. All right, let me just upload this to X. I don't know if she's going to allow me to share this, though. I don't think Lauren will mind. Knowing Lauren, she'll probably, yeah, share the damn thing, get it out there. I'll share it. I'm sure Lauren will be good with it. I'm just going to message her right now. I'm going to share this video online. All right, I'm just going to share that video online. I'm just going to put it online. I'll just delete it off X afterwards. Is what I'll do. All right, let me just do this. I want to show. I just got to play this video. This is funny. This is on my. Let's see. That's right there. Yep, that's it. Okay, here we go. I don't even have to upload it. Here we go. I can just play it right out of the drafts. Okay, that's great. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's share this, share that. So there we go. They were unhappy. So they walked out. And they were just pissed.
Yeah.
See, I'm walk off there. So yeah, they were not happy.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now's the time to go commit a crime in November.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were pissed off. They walked out the door pretty upset there. Did that not share? Did that share? Did that play for you guys? Did I not put that on the screen? Let me know, guys, if I didn't play that on the screen. Did I forget to pop that up? Oh, they did. You guys did hear it. Okay, good. I was like, did I not share that on the screen? Okay, good. Yes, they walked off. They were not happy. Their ideology is that they believe Noonan had a good shoot, which we obviously disagree with. But that was their thoughts on the matter. So, just a wild day. Afterwards, we all met up. A few of us went to Kowloon's, which was a fun time. So we yeah, I know. I got to go soon. Mark, how's UConn doing, by the way? I got to catch up on the game. I got lost in the show here. I got to see how UConn's doing. I had to watch them in a few minutes here. It'll be probably halftime by the time I get back to it. Yeah, they were pissed. Yeah, it could. I mean, what implications could this have on the department? You know what I'm saying? In terms of lawsuits, civil suits, all that stuff. So that's all kind of more in play now. Yeah, so I went to Kowloon's. Mark Betterall wanted to go to Kowloon's. He said to me earlier in the week, he goes, we're going. I said, all right, I'll be there. And then we went with a few people. Lauren from Common Sense Investigator came, and 2 other women joined us as well. We had, I guess some other people were going to come, but they couldn't make it. So we just asked a few others, like, hey, do you guys want to join us for dinner? And so we got UConn's up 33-23. Good. That's good to hear. Hey, did St. John's win tonight over Duke? That's another one I need to know about. Did St. John's beat UConn in the Big East Conference Championship? Yeah, so went to Calhoun's. We had a great time. Me and Mark got there at like 4. The ladies that joined us, Lauren, Katie, and company, didn't join us till about 4:40-ish. So we, me and Mark got in. We were both hungry. We didn't have lunch. So I ate breakfast at 5:30 in the morning. And by the time we got to Calhoun, it was 4 o'clock. I only had a Duke one. I only had 2 bottles of Smart Water the whole day. And I was so hungry. So when I got there, I said, Mark, let's get some chicken wings. So I ordered chicken wings. Me and Mark had chicken wings. And then they got there. So I'm on a keto diet still until Easter. So I had shrimp with vegetables. So a steamed cooked shrimp with like a bowl of like steamed broccoli, onions, peas, peppers, tomatoes, carrots, in like a butter, almost like in a butter sauce, which was really good. So it was like low carbs, low sugar. So I couldn't get the saugus wings with the sauce. So I got the non-sauce wings. Me and Better split an appetite. We were starving. My brother was like, I'm starving, man. I'm like, yeah, I know. Then everybody else got a nice meal and everything. So it was good. Some people got lo mein. I love lo mein. It's one of my favorites. Love lo mein. I usually go with shrimp lo mein, but some beef lo mein was ordered and some spare rib lo mein was ordered at the table, which was really good. Keto diet works. Keto diet works a lot. Low carbs, low sugar. You'll be perfectly fine. I have a lot of vegetables too. But the low carb, low sugar works out just fine. So, all right, let's wrap the show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Kelsey Fitzsimmons and her entire family and friends and supporters on the big win yesterday. It was a great day. It's a day I'll never forget. Yeah, I know. I got to invite you out there, my man. Exactly. Yeah, Judge Karp didn't believe it. No way. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., The Glare is live. He is doing a 12-hour stream for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I will be there probably around noon, somewhere between like 12, 12:30, 1 probably. I'll be on, and if not by 3 o'clock. And then I'll probably be on late in the day as well. Maybe the last hour I might jump on for, depending on how I feel, depending on what goes on, depending on how my day goes. But I will be on, and then we should be good to go. We'll have a nice fundraiser. It looks like 12,000 to go to 150K. So we'll try to get to that 12,000 tomorrow. We'll see. Did I meet Audrey? Why am I going blank on Audrey? Oh, yes, I did meet Audrey. Yes, I did. From North Andover. Yep, I met her. I saw her in the morning, but I can't recall seeing her in the afternoon for some reason. But I met her in the morning. We shook hands, talked for a little bit. Great to meet her. I said, you need other people to come up and show up with you in North Andover for sure. Yeah, that's be good to see Karen. It'll be good. And then I'll be checking in all day from time to time myself. And then at some point popping on. I know the feeling, and probably it's going to be likewise for me too, Akasha. Absolutely. So guys, great night. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of the contributions to this program you guys have made. Donating to fundraisers, super chatters. Thank you guys. Everybody that tuned in. Thank you. People that like, subscribe. Thank you. And be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And we did it. We got it done. We got it done. We got it done. We all chimed in to get it done for Kelsey, which was great. And we're happy about that. And big thanks for Kelsey here, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you, Jen, as well. Thank you to my mod team, all the dedication and all that. So we got it done. So we did a great job together, working hard on this and backing her up and helping her out. And that's what it's all about, working together. Thank you to all the content creators as well that were on my show this week and been on my fundraisers in the past to talk about this. Thank you guys so much. And that's it. Have a great night. I'm going to go watch the rest of the UConn game, guys. Take care of yourselves. From MazzaMedia, I am Mark. Take care of yourselves and have a great night. Bye-bye.